Catherine POV. 12 girls, including Sarah, Leah, and me, were all squashed in Sarah's little room. Everyone had brought a pillow and blanket, making themselves comfortable wherever they found space. My gaze quietly moved over all the faces, drinking everyone in. Sarah introduced me to the girls, but I soon forgot most of their names. 2 girls who joined were originally part of Amy's clique, and they were the ones who enjoyed themselves the most. They gave me one glance and ignored me the rest of the night. Not that I cared. Amy had brought her banishment on herself. The ladies' night had stirred up some proper excitement, and even though it was a bit uncomfortable in the beginning, I was soon welcomed by the rest of the ladies. "So," a blonde girl with pink stripes in her hair asked, "what exactly did you plan for us tonight?" The group of girls quieted down, and their interested gazes moved toward Sarah. She had just finished her call with the pizza delivery guy, trying to track our order. Sarah's eyes lit up, and she moved toward a table with different things packed out on it. She picked up 2 black bags and walked closer. "So, this is how it is going to work," Sarah started to explain. "We will all draw a name from the bag, and then in the second one, a color. That person paints that color on the name they picked." "That's so cool," a girl whose name I forgot said. "Yeah, that's a great idea," said her friend. The girls were ecstatic and happily complied with Sarah's rules. Sarah sent the first bags around, and everyone got to pick a name. Then she sent the second bag around with the different colors of nail polish. I draw Tracy's name. She was a small, dark-headed girl with freckles and golden-colored eyes. She was a pretty little thing and stood at 5'4". She giggled when she saw the color I was about to paint her nails. "Don't you like the color?" I asked, looking at the shockingly bright orange nail polish. "The color is perfect," she said. "It's my favorite." "Then what's the problem?" I asked. "Nothing," she said. "I'm just—" A knock on the door interrupted us, and my gaze turned toward the door. "Ah, finally," Sarah said. "That must be a pizza delivery guy." Sarah grabbed the money on the table and rushed toward the door, yanking it open. I burst out laughing when I saw Sarah's face, glaring at the person standing behind the door. It wasn't the pizza delivery guy. "Hi, Sarah." David's voice filled the room, and the girls turned their attention toward David and Sarah to listen to the conversation. "Bloody hell," a girl whispered. "Is he just as dreamy as his brothers?" "Yeah," another said. "It's just a shame that he has no interest in anyone." "I wouldn't mind if he kicked his shoes under my bed," a third girl whispered. "What are you doing here?" Sarah stuttered angrily when she got over her shock. "This is a girls-only party." "Well, I am dressed well enough for the occasion," David said, cheekily finding my gaze and smiling. I chuckled behind my hand, shaking my head as my gaze roamed over him. David was dressed in a tight black leather skirt, showing off his beautiful sculptured legs and firm buttocks. He had a white, low-cut blouse on, showing off his neck. To add to his appearance, he managed to get hold of a straight, dark brown wig with blue highlight stripes in the hair. He didn't have any makeup on, except for some red lip gloss. I wondered what Colt would think and do if he saw David dressed like that. Gray would definitely get a semi-heart attack. Sam, on the other hand, would join David. "This isn't some cross-dress night," Sarah hissed. "Come on, Sarah." A girl with light blonde hair called to her. "Let David join us." "Are you kidding me?" Sarah gasped. "This is a ladies' night, not." Sarah gestured to David, and the girl shifted her head aside. "He is fun, Sarah," the girl said, looking back at the other girls. "Let him join us. There is more than enough nail polish and facials. Let us have some fun with him." Sarah's gaze moved to me. Seeking help, I just shrugged my shoulders. "It's up to you," I eventually said. "He is not going to let this go until you let him in." "Arr," Sarah growled out, frustrated, glaring at David. "You are not giving me any other choice." "Then it's settled," David said, pushing past Sarah and squeezing himself on the bed close to me. Sarah closed the door behind her and grabbed the bag with the nail polish. "My turn," she said, smirking, and dug a nail polish from the bag. "What are you doing here?" I asked. "Came to see you," David replied. "Why?" "Because I threw my head back, laughing when the most revolting, shocking pink nail polish came into view and a dark grin fell on Sarah's face. "What's so funny?" David asked. I gestured to Sarah, lifting the nail polish into the air and showing the girls what color she had picked. I don't. Sarah is getting back at you for crashing her party, I said, whipping the tears from my eyes. She's about to color your fingers and toenails with that beautiful, horrific pink color. You can't be serious, David mutters in disbelief. Who gave her permission to choose a color? Her party, I said. Her rules. And you are the party crasher. But, David mutters with wide eyes. It's your own fault, I said, cutting him off. You decided to spite Sarah and got yourself into this. Now suffer the consequences. David pulled his lips into a thin line. The things you would do for the ones you care for, David said, sighing. You know you don't need to, I said. I was fine by myself. I know, he said, becoming serious. But I made a promise that I would always be at your side and protect you. Why? You don't need to, I said. David was barely 17. Why would he swear his life to me? Because I have this nagging feeling inside me that I always need to be close by, he explained. Well, this is a bit too close, I argued, bumping his shoulder. I need some personal space as well. Very well, he said confidently, getting up. I will see you later. I need to breathe some life into this party. It's a bit morbid to my taste. I watched David go and sit with some of the other girls, and they welcomed him with open arms. I slowly shook my head, wondering what David was planning. Catherine POV. My stomach hurt from all the laughing we did the last 2 hours. Every time Sarah thought she had found something to embarrass David and get back at him, it backfired on her. He was a great sport throughout the whole evening and grabbed the opportunity to be the center of attention. The girls loved him, and his open and interesting personality fit right in. It was fun to have him around, and every girl made sure to include him. Hand me a piece of pizza, please, David asked as Rose started applying his face mask. I think you should wait just a bit, I said. Just give her a minute to finish up. But I am hungry, David moaned. You will get food stuck in your face mask, I argued. Lily, Rose's friend, immediately got to her feet when she heard David mumble that he was hungry. She went and grabbed a slice of pizza for him and hurried back. Rose stopped applying the face mask and gave Lily some room to feed David. He complied eagerly with her request to take a bite, and she even wiped the food from his lips when he made a mess. My eyes widened in shock, seeing that. Everyone wants to be mated to an alpha wolf, Rose said. You are lucky to be mated to 3. Still, I didn't act like that. Yeah, I said, turning my attention back to Rose, but I didn't throw myself at my mates like that. Rose snickered. Lily hasn't shifted yet, she said. She is turning 17 next week. I guess she believes that David is her mate? I asked. Yes, Rose said. Lily and David have been friends for a long time. I didn't know that. David never really spoke about his friends. It is just sad that now that you have moved into the pack house, Rose said, she doesn't get to see him much. I didn't know they knew each other, I said. I'll have a little talk to him. Rose nodded and went back to applying the facial. The night went on with giggles and laughter, and soon some of the girls thanked Sarah and excused themselves to head back to their rooms. Where is everyone going? David asked. Some are on kitchen duty tomorrow morning, Sarah said. Others have school, Leah said, hinting at David. I'll leave when Kate is leaving, David said, refusing to leave my side. Leah rolled her eyes and came to sit down with me. Only me, Sarah, David, and Leah were left. The last girl had just left. Do you want to watch a movie? Sarah asked, taking a seat on her bed and grabbing the TV remote. What kind of movie? David asked. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days is showing, Sarah said. Leah laughed. I know that's romantic and all, but I would never do that to my mate. Sarah flipped and scrolled down the menu, searching for romantic movies. What about Pretty Woman? Sarah asked, sounding excited. It was one of our favorite movies when we were younger. It is showing as well. David rolled his eyes, looking kind of annoyed. What do you like to watch? I asked. Something with a lot of action, David said. Or a good suspense movie. Sarah rolled her eyes, annoyed, yet started scrolling down, searching for any good movie showings. Armageddon is showing, she finally said. Great, David said happily. Action and romance. We can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. All in favor? Sarah asked, and we all nodded. Let's make you more comfortable, Sarah said, turning to me. I have been sitting in my chair the whole night. I'm fine, I said. It can't be, David said, getting off the bed. Let me help you onto the bed. It's big enough for all 4 of us, Leah said. I sighed, shaking my head, yet gave in. David helped me on the bed and made himself comfortable next to me. Sarah sat on my other side, while Leah decided to lay at our feet. Sarah pushed play on the remote and got off the bed. "Where are you going?" I asked. "The movie is about to start. I'm going to make some popcorn for us," she said. "We can't watch this without a decent bowl of popcorn." "I'll come and help," Leah said, getting off the bed and leaving with Sarah. David and I sat in silence, watching the intro to the movie. I hadn't seen the movie for some time, and soon my attention was pinned to the screen. David turned his head in my direction and shifted his body lower on the bed so that he could look at me. "What?" I asked. I saw him trying to get a read on me. "I can see that something has been bothering you for some time," he said. "I am fine," I said. "Kate, don't lie to me," David said, taking my left hand in his. "You are my brother's mate, and you are now family. So please tell me, is it any of my brothers? Should I go wring their necks?" Gray's face was the first to pop up in my mind, yet I shook my head and smiled. There might be something bothering Gray, but by tomorrow night we would be fully marked and mated, which means he wouldn't be able to hide his feelings from me anymore. "Is it my mother?" David tried again. "No," I said. "She has been treating me better after saving your life." Which was true. Luna Mary was going out of her way to make things more comfortable for me, which was a 180-degree flip from when I arrived. "That's good. I'm glad," he said, getting frustrated. "I would easily put her in her place. You deserve to be treated better." I smiled at David, squeezed his hand, and pulled my hand out of his. "Thank you," I said, rubbing his messy hair. "But you don't need to worry. I can handle her." My gaze moved down to my swollen belly, and my hands instinctively followed and rubbed over my belly. "It is the twins you are worried about," David said. I pulled myself upright, puffed the pillows, and laid back against them. I didn't want to discuss my worries with David. I was hoping that he wouldn't figure it out and let it go. He wouldn't understand. "I'm right, aren't I?" I sighed. "Yes, you are," I said, feeling annoyed. "Why are you worried about them?" he asked. "Did the doctor see or say something?" David looked so cute when he became the worried uncle, and it warmed my heart. How do I explain this to him? I took a deep breath and told him what the doctor had told me. What he told me next took the wind right under my wings. "Catherine POV. It's a normal occurrence for our pack and family," David said. "There's nothing to worry about." "What are you talking about?" I asked. "How do you know that?" David pulled himself into a sitting position and turned serious, and I paused the movie, turning my attention to him. "Remember I told you about our family history?" he asked. "Yes," I answered. "How could I forget? It was the same day Amy jumped into Sam's arms and then later smothered him with her saliva." "Well, my grandfather." David turned quiet and dropped his gaze, looking at his hands. "Was he embarrassed?" "Your grandfather what?" I asked. "He was blessed to see things," he said, hesitating. "Gray told me about that," I said. "So you know?" he asked, glad that he wasn't the one breaking the news. "Not much," I admitted. "No, he just told me a story about wolves merging and that there are statues all over the gardens with prophecies." David nodded. "My grandfather recorded every one of his visions in a journal," David said. "Okay, so what does it have to do with the pups I'm carrying?" I asked. "Every time gifted pups are conceived in our family, the pups grow at an impeccable rate," David said. "It's something to do with the magic they are blessed with and carry in their blood." "Are you part of those gifted pups?" I asked, interested in knowing. "No," he said, shaking his head. "I only carry the alpha gene, no magic. Why would this pack be blessed with magic in their blood?" Would David know a story? "Is there a reason why White River packs are blessed with magical pups?" I asked. "That one is easy," David said, chuckling. "The goddess loves us the most, so she blessed us more than other packs. It might be true, but then again, our pack was the most private around. My father didn't let us go to just any rival festival or function, and if we did, we were heavily armed with warriors and guards." That made me think. Did he do that to just protect us, or did he do that because he knew what cargo was being delivered to his front door when I was born? "How long does a pregnancy last?" I asked. "Anything between 3 and 6 months, depending on how many pups you carry and how strong their magic is." David said, I narrowed my eyes at David. He kept on saying pups. Was the magic only activated when there was more than one? What? David asked when I turned silent. You keep on saying pups? I said. Yeah, it only happens with multiples, he said dryly. I was lucky to not share my mother's womb with anyone else. You sound a bit jealous, I commented. David laughed. I am not, he said. I sometimes just wish that I had some of my brother's abilities. It might have been fun and cool. Which ability do you refer to? I asked. Well, Sam can do magic, David said. It is so strong that my parents had to send him away to learn how to control it. It was scary at first. He would sleep and unconsciously use magic. A cold feeling ran down my spine, remembering Sam looking at the powder in Ellie's room. How powerful was Sam with his magic side? What did he do? I asked. Something stupid like having all the pack members floating in the air while sleeping, David said. It is much better now. What's Gray's gift? I asked. He is a tracker, David said. The best that ever existed. That's why he is so serious and stiff. He analyzes information, I said, cutting David off. What's Colt's? I asked. No one knows, David said with a sigh. We haven't seen his ability bloom yet, but my grandfather believed that the hidden ability is usually the strongest and most dangerous one among them. I nodded in understanding. If what you say is true, I assume your grandfather was part of a twin. Yeah, David answered, but his twin died at birth. I always had the feeling that my grandfather could never get over it, as if he could still see his sibling. It's not impossible, I said. Maybe he could see him. He had a twin sister, David said. She was the eldest and would have become the alpha of this pack. A female alpha, I said. That would have been the first in history. David shook his head. We have had female alphas leading the pack before, David said. But when they have their offspring, they carry over the responsibilities to their mate so that they can focus on their pups. The bedroom door suddenly clicked open, and Sarah and Leah walked in, each with a tray in their hands. Why have you stopped watching the movie? Sarah asked, handing me a bowl of freshly popped popcorn coated in caramel. We decided to wait for you two, David chirped. Leah handed me a soda. Thanks, I said, waiting for the girls to take a seat and make themselves comfortable on the bed. I pressed the play button, and the movie continued playing. After a couple of sips of soda and hands full of popcorn, my eyelids became heavy, and I struggled to keep my eyes open and focus on the screen. A long and deep yawn escaped my lips, tearing up my eyes. Hell, I suddenly felt exhausted. I bumped David's arm, trying to get his attention, yet he had already passed out and was sleeping soundlessly. I turned to my other side, trying to get Sarah's attention, but she had also fallen asleep. Leah, are you awake? I called. Leah turned her head toward me, rubbing her red eyes. She looked just as tired. Barely, she muttered. Why? Can you please help me get my chair? I asked. I would like to return to my quarters. Sure, she said, getting off the bed and bringing my chair closer. Leah helped me to the edge of the bed and into the chair. But before I reached the hallway, everything had become blurry around me, and seconds later, it all turned dark. Colt's POV. Did Kate ever go to bed last night? Gray linked me. He has been quiet most of the morning, seemingly distracted by something. Was it because of Brian's execution later today? I haven't seen her, I said, shifting my attention toward Sam, who was chasing after a white furball running for his dear life and praying not to end up in Luca's sharp claws. Me neither, he answered, pouncing toward the small white bunny. I checked her room earlier. She didn't sleep in her bed. Sam didn't complain about any weird feelings, so I guess Kate must have decided to stay over in Sarah's room. Maybe it was a good sign that their relationship was healing. Maybe she is still at Sarah's, I said, running towards the river. My brothers and I had gone out on an early wolf run. Ray has been particularly grumpy and will snap at the most unexpected things. He couldn't put his finger on the reason why he was acting so weirdly, so I pushed it off as stress and thought that it might be a good idea to take him out for a long and decent run to let off some steam. Gray caught me leaving our quarters and wanted to know where I was heading. I'm taking Ray out for a run, I said. Ray suddenly lost his temper and fought for control. What the fuck, Ray? I hissed, annoyed as I fought to keep control. I wasn't used to his uncontrollable tantrums. I'm not just some dog you are taking out for a run. Ray roared angrily in my mind. Seriously? Was he going to be twisting my words around and getting angry at me? Technical you are, I growled. Stop being a mutt and back off, or else I will block you off and shut you out. You wouldn't dare, Ray growled, challenging me. Try me, I said. I have enough on my plate. I can't entertain your temper tantrums. Gray had taken a step away from me. His eyes were as big as saucers. Why did he suddenly look so cautious? Wow, dude, relax. Sam's happy-go-lucky voice filled the air as he exited his room. What has gotten into you? Did Gray piss you off? I haven't done anything, Gray defended. I swear, it's Colt who was about to lose control. Lose control? What was he talking about? I was just forcing Ray to back off. It doesn't look like that, Sam said, turning his attention toward me. I will gladly help. Take care of him. Sam was still pissed at Gray, and he would do anything to have a piece of him. Ray is just unusually grumpy, I explained. He kept me up all night. Then we better take you to go let off some steam, Sam said. We don't want you to do something irresponsible. I second that, Gray said. I will have the senior warriors handle training this morning. It's okay, I said. I'll manage. I can handle him. Don't worry. We insist, Sam said, heading toward the door. Don't play with your food, Gray growled at Sam over the link, bringing me back to my present. You are no fun, Sam whined, turning his gaze toward me, seeking help. Luca dropped his huge head, picking up the bunny and snapping its neck. I was glad I wasn't the one between Luca's jaws. Luca took his time stripping the meat from the small fur ball, watching Gray as he ate. Duke huffed, annoyed, as he looked at his reflection in the water. His patience has run out. I'll wait for Sam to finish, I said. You go ahead and go back. Duke lifted his gaze and turned it toward Luca. He huffed, irritated, and then nodded at me. I'll go see how far the warrior training is going, and if they need any help, he said. Very well, I said. Stop by the gym as well, and give me a progress report on Kate. She should be in training already. She is adamant to be walking again, Sam chirped. You should see how much effort she puts into her training. That wasn't all. She has been helping Gray with new techniques to strengthen our warriors. She was a natural, and the warriors loved having her around them. She is committed, all right, Gray said, and she started toward the pack house. Sam licked his lips the moment Duke disappeared into the forest. You did that on purpose, I growled at Sam. You deliberately took your time to finish your kill. Yeah, I did, Sam admitted, coming closer. But for good reason. I was surprised to notice his light gray fur wasn't stained with blood. And what reason would that be? I asked. Gray has been acting strangely around Kate lately, Sam said. She has complained about it. Complained? I was surprised that Kate would say something. She always seemed to rather keep things to herself. Yeah, I told her that Gray would get over his sooner rather than later, and not to worry, but I'm not so sure anymore, Sam said, sounding kind of concerned. What's your thoughts about it? I asked, turning my gaze toward the route Gray had just taken. What was bothering Gray? Was he in trouble? Was he having doubts about him and Kate? Was it the pregnancy? I'm not sure, Sam said. I almost spilled the beans about the reason why her parents are coming. Sam, seriously, I growled, getting pissed. I didn't, I promise, Sam defended. I got distracted by Kate's scent. It's been driving my wolf nuts. You better say nothing, I warned. You of all people should know what it will do to her. I know, Sam said. Colt, David's concerned voice came through the link, cutting Sam's and my conversation short. Do you know where Kate is? Check the gym, I said. She should be in training with Sarah. Sarah and Leah are with me, David said. We just woke up from last night's ladies' night. Kate's wheelchair is missing, so she must have left the night before. My blood ran cold, and the worst scenarios rushed through my mind. Did something happen to Kate? Stop getting ahead of yourself, Ray growled. I took a deep breath, calming my mind. You're right, I said. Kate must have wanted to return to her room last night, but did she leave on her own, or did someone help her? She was capable of getting around by herself. Did David crash the girls' party? Sam huffed next to me. I'm not sure, I replied, and if he did, I rather don't want to know what had gone down at that party. Colt, are you still there? David asked, his voice strained. I said, Did you check Kate's room? She might have left Sarah's room while you were still sleeping. Kate wouldn't just roam around in the pack house, she would at least tell someone where she went off to. "She's not in her room," David replied. "There is no sign of her anywhere. I am worried, Colt. We don't know where she is. I have checked the pack house and gardens." Colt's POV. "Did you find her?" I asked as I caught up with David waiting for us at the front of the pack house. He looked like shit. His blonde hair was standing in all directions, and his clothes were wrinkled, but what caught my attention was the pink shade of nail polish still on his fingernails. Bloody hell, did he crash the ladies' night? Did Sarah let him join them? My gaze moved toward Sarah. Her eyes looked puffy, like she had too much to drink last night, and she had a thick green knitted blanket wrapped around her shoulders. For a second, she looked like she was very cold. "No," he said, shaking his head and dropping his gaze. His hands were scrunched into fists, and he looked as if he was about to break down and lose control. Was he blaming himself for Kate's disappearance? "Did you tell Gray about the situation?" Sam asked, pulling his shirt over his head. Sam managed to shift back faster than usual. Luca even kept a good running pace with me. "Yes," Sarah said, stepping forward. She must have noticed that David wasn't taking Kate's disappearance well. "He is in my room, looking for clues." "Great," I said, pushing past them and heading down to Sarah's room. I sighed when I remembered that Sarah's room was located at the far end of the pack house. Kate wanted that, but now it felt like a bad idea. Anyone could have taken advantage of Kate while she pushed herself down the hallway. We found Gray standing outside of Sarah's room, and Leah watched him with great interest as he searched for clues. Leah's hair was neatly tied up in a bun, showing off her delicate face. She was properly dressed, as if she had taken her time to get ready. That I found odd. Did she wake up before David and Sarah did? She didn't look like a worried or concerned friend. Gray took his sweet time, sniffing and searching for any scents involved. His hands moved over the door frame, searching for any clues left behind. Sam passed me, going to Gray's side. Even though he was pissed at our brother, he would never jeopardize an investigation, no matter what the situation. "It seems like the same shut was used when Ellie went missing," Sam said, rubbing his fingers together and smelling the substance. "And I can pick up Sarah and Leah's scent going toward the kitchen and back," Gray said, turning his gaze to look down the hallway. "But no one else. Does that mean that Leah and Sarah are the suspects?" "Why did you leave Kate alone in your room?" Sam growled at Sarah. "I didn't leave her alone. David was with her," Sarah said. "Leah and I went to get some popcorn. We came right back. Kate was still here then." "Was there anyone else in the hallway?" Sam asked. "No," Sarah said, shaking her head and looking at Leah. "Not that I could remember." Leah shook her head as well. "I can't remember seeing anyone else," she said. Sam narrowed his eyes, shifting his head to the side. "Which kitchen did you use?" he asked. "The smaller one," Leah answered, shifting nervously from one leg to the other. "That kitchen is out of bounds. Leah should know that." "Why?" Sarah asked, seeing Leah's reaction. "That's the Luna's kitchen," Gray said, raising an eyebrow. "I doubt that she is involved in this," I said. "She has been behaving like a perfect Luna the last couple of days." "What if everything was just an act?" David snapped, lifting his angry gaze. "Mother has made a point of making Kate's life hell. I'll ask her, but I doubt that she is involved in this. Mother is capable of doing horrible and embarrassing things, but kidnapping isn't on her to-do list," I calmly said, shifting my gaze back to Gray. "Can you pick up a scent?" "Only that Kate exited the room," Gray said, annoyed. "How old is the scent?" I asked. "A couple of hours old," he said. "The scent stops there." Gray gestured to a spot on the floor. I squatted down and touched the floor. I suddenly struggled to breathe, and I gasped for air as images filled my mind like waves. The sound of roaring water pouring down from above filled my surroundings, and the sound traveled down something like tunnels. The smell of mold and dust hit my nostrils, making me sneeze and cough. Where am I? Why does this feel like I have been here before? My gaze snapped toward movement on the other side of the pond, seeing only a dark shadow moving toward the tunnels, leaving a cold and unnerving feeling running down my spine. I wanted to order him to stop, but he disappeared with the scene. "Fuck!" I whispered in disbelief. "What the hell did just happen?" "Colt," Sam called, rushing to my side. His face twisted in concern. What did you see? How did he know that I saw something? Was it just a glimpse of the future, or was this happening right now? Kate, I answered. I think she is in some old tunnels. What tunnels? Sam asked. It might be the old tunnels running below the pack house, Gray said. Old tunnels? Under the pack house? How the hell did she end up in there? Sam growled, breaking my chain of thoughts. Who took her? I don't know, I said. But I have a feeling that whoever took her is responsible for the rogue attacks. We need to be cautious. Gray and Sam nodded in understanding. So what are we waiting for? Sam asked. Let's go save her. We will in a second, I promised, turning to Gray. But first, we need to find out how these tunnels are connected. Sam looked at me in disbelief, but Gray understood. Can you get me blueprints and any information in regards to the tunnels? I asked Gray. I have an old blueprint in my office, Gray said, nodding. Good, I said, turning to Sam. In the meantime, get some warriors ready. On it, Sam said, smiling and reading himself for action. And Sam, I linked him, have some guards escort the girls down to the dungeons for standard questioning. He nodded with a cold smile. Sons? My father's voice sounded behind us, and all of our heads snapped toward him. I didn't expect to see him on this side of the pack house. Yes, father, I said, getting to my feet. Alpha Duncan and retinue have arrived. Catherine, POV, I'm so fucking dead. Someone's anxious voice startled me awake. A moan escaped my lips as my hand reached for my throbbing head. My whole body felt painfully stiff and sore. Bloody hell, I whispered as the painful feeling moved down my body. Why does everything hurt? I licked my dry lips, noticing that they were already cracked and burst. My throat felt dry, it was difficult to swallow, and my tongue felt thick and swollen in my mouth. What the fuck happened? Did someone drug me? My thoughts rushed back to the previous night. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, and I can't remember that anything looked or sounded out of place. The only thing that did pop up was that I became tired, but I have grown tired quickly with my pregnancy. Fuck! She's waking up, someone swore, sounding worried. Hello? I croaked, hoping to receive some assistance, but instead, the only reply I received was urgent footsteps rushing away from me down something like a hall. What the hell was going on? Where the hell am I? I started an endless battle to get my eyelids open and eventually gave up. My eyes fused shut, and I lay still, hoping it would ease the pain moving through my body and the throbbing headache. After a few minutes, the angry throbbing in my head subsided, and my body became a bit more functional. I focused my senses on my surroundings, hoping to find some clues. Water was dripping close by, and the sound was bouncing against the walls and echoing down the hall. I could smell mold and dampness surrounding me, like I was in a room that had been closed for some time. I turned my head, noticing that there must be some kind of light source close by. It wasn't very bright. A cold feeling spiraled down my back, and I couldn't shake the unnerving feeling. I managed to move my arms, and my hands moved over the soft material of a bed underneath me. Odd, I thought. Who would kidnap me and lay me down on a soft bed? I don't think we are far from home, Kia said, her voice sounding tired and her words coming out in a slurring as she entered my mind. My gaze moved over her once sparkling white, flawless fur. It was now matted together and looked untainted. Her big golden eyes had lost their spark, and it looked like she was having a major hangover. There was no pretty way to describe how Kia looked. She looked like shit. Did I look the same? Are you sure? How do you know? I asked. I can hear murmurs, she said. We might be under the pack house or something. Something? Something like where? I asked. We might be in the pack escape tunnels, Kia said, moving her ears from side to side, listening. Why would someone bring me down here? I asked, worried. Are we under attack? No, Kia said. I don't think so. But you are not sure? I snapped. My hand moved over my swollen belly and my eyes widened, realizing that I didn't know if the pups were okay. Fuck the pups! I moaned, feeling tears building up behind my eyelids. They are fine, Kia said. You don't know that. I cried out, panicking. My poor babies. Kia came closer, sat down, and stared at me with her deep golden eyes. The pups are protected, she said. Nothing can hurt them. You can't be certain, I growled, worried. Whatever happens to me will influence them. We are connected. Kia's gaze hardened. I will not let anything happen to them, she said. I will fight for their survival until my last dying breath to protect them. Kia, we can't even shift, I said. It took you months to reveal yourself to me. How the hell will you be able to protect them? Kia kept quiet, weighing my words. You are right, she eventually said, and she sighed. But I promise you, nothing will happen to them. The goddess will protect you and them if I can't. I narrowed my eyes at Kia, and a nagging feeling crept up inside me. Why would she bring Mother Moon into the conversation? I was just a normal wolf. Everyone was seen equally in her eyes. She had never favored anyone before. You know something, I said. You know why we are down here. You know why they took me, don't you? Kia dropped her head, keeping silent. Tell me, I roared. Tell me now. Angry tears spilled over. I couldn't handle the secrecy anymore. The goddess can only warn you so many times, Kia said, getting to her feet. You have been warned that a war is approaching, yet you have not prepared yourself for the day to come. I don't even know what the war is about, when and where it would take place, and why. I yelled at her. Are you so blind? Kia asked, breaking my wrath. Don't you see? Don't you understand? I looked at Kia as if she had grown 2 more heads. What was she going on about? Was I that clueless? Kia sighed. As soon as you take your first shift, everyone will know who you are, Kia said. It will call. Call who? I cut her off. Tell me what is going on. What are you going on about? You are the daughter of the moon goddess, Kia snapped. You have ultimate powers hidden in your blood. I froze upon hearing Kia's words. She must be making a mistake. There was no way that was possible. I did tell you, Kia said, sighing and turning her gaze toward me. I don't believe one single word you are saying. I growled at her. I have parents. There are fucking pictures of my mother being pregnant with me at the pack house. Kia walked closer to me and pinned my gaze. What I was told next had my whole world shattered into millions of pieces. Catherine POV. She lied. My whole life was a lie. How could she do this to me? She did it to protect you, Kia said, her golden eyes turning serious. How? I asked, shaking my head. Kia's words still rang in my ears. The photos in the pack house weren't of my mother and me, but of my mother and the pup she lost before birth. There was a rogue attack a couple of days before the pup's birth, Kia said. The goddess took pity on your mother. Why? I growled, frustrated. The goddess never intervened. Why did I choose my mother to raise me? Why send me here? Why all the secrecy, and why didn't Kia just tell me what the hell was going on? Your Earth Mother has a pure heart, and the goddess knew you would be safe under her protection, Kia said. She asked your mother to raise and care for you as her own. But at what cost? There must be a reason why the goddess would do such a thing. Not a day had gone by that my mother and father didn't love me as their own. I have always been treated as a princess in the pack. Never once did I doubt their love. I still do. But why did she keep it a secret? Why didn't she just tell me who I was? It hurts to know that my mother kept this from me all these years. What else was she keeping from me? My mind raced back to the night we found Ellie and my father's reaction when I calmed the triplet wolves. Does my father know? Was he in on the secret? What's the catch? I asked. Why would the goddess just give her only daughter away? Why did she send me here? Kia turned quiet, and her eyes lost their spark. The goddess promised your parents that you would bring peace to the lands again, Kia said, getting to her feet and starting off to the deepest ends of my mind. I narrowed my eyes at Kia as she quickened her steps. She was trying to avoid my questions. Was I missing something? Kia, I called, and she froze in her tracks. She slowly shifted her head back, looking at me. What are you not telling me? I asked, shifting my head to the side. Why do I have that unnerving feeling in the pit of my stomach that there is more? Kia swallowed hard, then turned her gaze toward the darkness. She was about to run off, leaving me with unanswered questions. Don't you dare, I growled under my breath. Kia dropped her shoulders, looking defeated, but she eventually turned around and walked back toward me. I don't think you are ready to hear this, Kia said. Well, I am, I said, folding my arms around my waist. It can't be worse than what you already told me. Besides, I have been kidnapped, and I don't know why anyone wants to take a broken wolf like me. It is worse than what is happening now, Kia said, refusing to look at me. It is the actual reason why you ended up with your Earth parents. This has to be good. Tell me, I demanded. I can handle the truth. Kia sighed and hesitated for a moment, then lifted her head and searched my gaze. Do you know why you don't see pure white wolves roaming the earth? Kia asked. Because of their powers, and everyone wants them? I asked. Kia shook her head. There is only one pure white wolf in existence, she said. You. Kia's words sent a shiver down my spine. Impossible, I said, after a moment of silence. There were many, I have read. No, there wasn't, Kia growled, cutting me off. Those wolves carried a mark on their bodies. You are the only pure white wolf. I narrowed my eyes at her, confused. What was so horrible that she was hesitant to tell me? What are you saying? I asked, calmly, feeling that my heart was already racing in my chest. That I have lived before? It is a bit more complicated than that, Kia snapped. Then explain it to me so that I can understand. I yelled out in frustration. You were cursed in the immortal realm, Kia said so lowly that I barely heard what she said. Mother Moon hoped that by sending you to the mortal world, you would break the curse. My breath hitched as my blood ran cold. I shivered, feeling the coldness running down my spine. My mind went numb. I don't understand. I forced the words onto my lips. You are the purest wolf in existence. Why would we be cursed? Kia released a soft whimper and moved her ears from side to side before she took a seat. Years ago, the goddess ruled among her people. She was loved by all her children, and she loved them too. The gods warned her that men would eventually turn against her and that not all would have a pure heart. She refused to believe them until you were born. What happened? I asked, worried. One particular wolf had an eye on you. He revealed his love for you, but you rejected him, Kia said, and her eyes glazed over as she recalled the memory. He thought he could convince you. But I already found my mate? I asked, reading between the lines. Yes, Kia answered. You were truly in love with your fated mate, and what you shared was something magical. Oh, goddess, what happened to my mate? The wolf was furious that you rejected him. He tricked your mate and killed him. When I found out about what he had done. Kia swallowed hard, unable to say the words. You lost control and killed him? I completed her words. Kia nodded. But it didn't end there. I asked, as the feeling in the pit of my stomach grew heavier. No, Kia said, shaking her head. He cursed me with his last dying breath. What kind of curse? I asked, feeling anger fill my insides. How dare he do this to me? To us? To never find your fated mate, Kia said. Mother Moon was outraged when she heard about what had happened and closed the gates between the immortal realm and Earth. She tried to help me, I asked. Yes, Kia said, wimping. The goddess tried to reverse the curse, but it wasn't as easy as she thought. It backfired, I hissed, didn't it? Kia nodded while I threw a little temper tantrum. The goddess couldn't just let her child be alone for eternity, Kia said, trying to defend the goddess. She tried to change the curse so that you could have a happy ever after. Worry crept up inside my heart. I could tell that what she was about to say wasn't going to be pleasant. How did the original curse change, I asked. That you would be rejected, weakening me until you found him, Kia said. What did she mean by finding him? Did she mean Colt, Gray, or Sam, or was it someone else? Colt's POV. Where is my lovely daughter hiding? Alpha Duncan asked as he entered my office. He looked refreshed and relaxed, not like someone who was about to execute his beta. Do I tell him the truth, or do I lie? Somewhere in the pack grounds, Sam said, beating me to it and keeping his face and body posture calm. She likes moving around among the pack members. She will make a remarkable Luna. Gray lifted an eyebrow, surprised at Sam's bold move, while I flinched at his calm and supportive words. We are going to be in such big trouble if this backfires and Alpha Duncan finds out that Kate has disappeared under our noses. I assume she is settling in well then? He asked, searching my gaze as he took a seat at my office desk. Kate made a couple of friends, Gray said proudly, trying to distract Alpha Duncan so that I could get my emotions under control. And she had a girls-only night recently, Sam added. Kate is adjusting well to her new environment, I added, praising Kate. She is doing well. She had started training with Sarah, Sam said. Her progress is slow, but it is fruitful. She can walk with support. Oh, wow, Alpha Duncan said, looking a bit startled at the news. Has Kate decided to forgive Sarah? I should have known that Alpha Duncan cared more about Sarah and Kate's relationship. then about her walking again. I think she has, I said, taking my seat. At least she is trying. That's good news, Alpha Duncan said, nodding his head and smiling. What had happened between them broke my heart. If it was any other she-wolf, the betrayal wouldn't have hurt Kate so much, but it was her best friend who slept with her boyfriend and mate, Brian. Alpha Duncan suddenly stopped talking. He stared into nothing as if he remembered those events. I couldn't bear seeing my daughter so heartbroken when she heard the news. It broke my heart. Sarah and Kate have always been so good to each other. I have prayed and begged the goddess to have their friendship repaired. Gray set his hand supportively on Alpha Duncan's shoulder. She is doing well under the circumstances, he said. Good, I am happy, Alpha Duncan said. Now let's get down to business. I nodded, laid forward in my chair, and pressed my elbow on my desk. I understand that there was a request for Beta Brian to be executed on White River Pack territory, I asked. I have, Alpha Duncan said. I don't want him to escape again. He knows the Silver Moonstone Pack like the back of his hand. He will find a way to escape again. I nodded in understanding. Beta Gray has arranged everything, I said. Beta Brian's execution will take place an hour before night falls. Noted, Alpha Duncan said, getting to his feet. If you would excuse me, Alpha Colt, I would like to go see my daughter and congratulate her on becoming Luna tonight. Very well, I said. I will have Sarah escort you to her chambers, and I will have an Omega go call her. Thank you, Alpha Colt, Alpha Duncan said as he headed to the door. Sarah already waited for him outside. Make sure Sarah doesn't reveal Kate's disappearance. Tell her to keep him busy while we search for Kate, or else I will have her locked up with Leah. I linked David. I couldn't mind link Sarah myself. She wasn't an official member of the pack. Will do, bro, he said, following Alpha Duncan and Sarah down the hall. Gray closed the office door behind them and headed to the door between our offices. He unlocked the door, disappeared into his office, and then returned a moment later with old blueprints. Are they? Sam asked, and his eyes lit up out of excitement. Gray nodded and gestured toward his officer. Sam understood and immediately headed to Gray's office, and moments later he returned with another arm full of prints. Where do you want them? Gray asked. Meeting table, I said, gesturing toward the small round meeting table in the corner of the office. It could only hold 6 people at most, and we'd used it mostly for quick and private meetings. These are the only ones I could get my hands on, Gray said. How did you know of these? Sam asked. I did some research on old escape routes in and around the pack house, Gray said. Why? Sam asked. Aren't ours sufficient? In normal circumstances, our escape plan would be sufficient, Gray said, turning to look at me. But I wanted to take precautions for Kate's sake, I said, opening the print and rolling over the desk. Just in case we needed a quick escape. Sam nodded, and Gray pointed his finger at the map. Here is an underground waterfall, Gray said. Do you think it might be this one you heard? Are there no other areas with masses of water? I asked. Not that I can see, he said, lifting his gaze to look at me and Sam. We can enter here, here, and there. I nodded, seeing a plan form in my mind. Gray, you take the north entrance. Sam, you take. The office door slammed open with force, startling everyone around the table. Our heads snapped toward the door, and we saw Alpha Duncan standing in the doorway with a horrified expression. He slowly lifted his hands, bringing an old white envelope into view. What the fuck is that? Gray linked, moving only his eyes to look at me. Not sure, I said, but with Alpha Duncan's alarmed facial expression, it can't be good. Catherine POV, I know you are awake. A familiar yet unrecognizable voice sounded around. Startled, I managed to force my eyes open, and my head snapped toward the sound of the voice, searching for the person the voice belonged to. My breath hitched, and my throat ran dry, making it hard to breathe as my heart pounded in my chest. What the fuck? I managed to whisper under my breath. It's not very polite of you to speak like that, the voice whispered, and my gaze snapped toward the sound, seeing nobody close by. I frowned. Am I losing my mind? I swore I just heard someone. I pushed myself into a sitting position, and my gaze wandered over the open space around me. I was in some kind of cave. Cave? I narrowed my eyes, confused. Who would bring me down here? My gaze wandered around the cave, taking in my surroundings. It looked so familiar, Yet I couldn't remember ever being in there. The walls of the cave were beautiful. It was decorated with all kinds of huge and colorful crystals glowing against the cave wall like they were alive in some way. The cave ceiling had massive, clear crystals hanging from it in the shape of the moon and stars. "Wow," I gasped, appreciating the beautiful scenery. "It's breathtaking." My gaze slowly moved toward the sound of the running water, drinking in every inch of this beautiful place. The water came from some kind of underwater spring, running down from high rocks and flowing into a pond below. I unintentionally licked my lips. The water looked refreshing and would soothe the dryness in my throat. I might even be able to reach it if I had my chair. My chair! Where the hell is it? My gaze quickly scanned my surroundings, searching for my wheelchair. I should have known they would take my chair and make my life difficult. I sneered, frustrated. A chuckle echoed through the quiet area, bouncing against the cave walls, and the hair on my back rose at the sound. "It's him," Kia growled. She had taken an aggressive posture, and every single hair had risen. "What do you mean it is him?" I asked, startled. "I thought you said you killed him." "I don't know," Kia whimpered. "He must have found a way to return." "Return how?" I asked. "I don't know," she said. "If what Kia said is true, somehow he must have managed to find a way to escape or leave." "What happens with wolf souls when their humans die?" I asked, pulling for straws. "They return to the goddess," Kia answered, narrowing her eyes and confused at my question. "Do they ever get a second chance to roam the earth?" I asked. "Yeah," she said. "Sometimes." It took Kia a few seconds before she caught on. "Do you think?" Kia asked, startled, her eyes wide and worried. "He might have gotten a second chance," I said. "Who are you?" I asked the voice, trying to keep my voice as level as possible. I didn't want to show him that I was afraid. A familiar scent of sea breeze and golden sea sands filled my nostrils, and I froze in my seat. My heartbeat escalated as the scent smothered me in my seat. "Impossible. It can't be." "It's always the same question," he whispered with a chuckle. "Who am I? What do I want? Why am I here?" "So you have done this before?" I asked, annoyed. "Many times," he answered. My blood ran cold in my veins, and my body felt like it was electrocuted. Was he the reason why no white wolves were roaming the earth? Is he the reason why the white wolves disappeared? Is he the reason why everyone believed that white wolves were taken for their powers? My blood slowly started to boil in my veins. How dare he? "Why?" I growled through my teeth. I tried my best to keep myself calm, but this was just so inhumane. "Because I have been searching for you," he said. "Does he know Kia is a white wolf? Or was he just speculating that I was?" "What is this place?" I asked, hoping to get answers. "Why bring me here?" "This is home," he said. "Home?" I snorted sarcastically. "This doesn't look anything like home to me." "Ah," he said. "I thought that you might say that. Don't you recognize your favorite place in the world? This is where we first met. This is where we found each other. This is where we promised to be mates and make this our home." Kia whimpered in my mind, confirming what he was saying was true. "Why can I not remember anything about this?" I asked Kia. "Because the goddess wiped your memories to let you have a fresh start," Kia said. "You were depressed and heartbroken when you lost your mate." "What do you want from me?" I asked. Another chuckle echoed around me. "Did he find this situation funny? Haven't you noticed?" he asked. "We are mates, fated ones." My gaze moved toward the darker side of the cave, seeing red, glowing eyes staring back at me. My breath hitched, recognizing the red, cold eyes of the wolf that attacked me the night of the pack house fire. Was it possible that he survived that night and that Brian didn't kill him? "I am not you, mate," I yelled. "The Black Triplet brothers are my mates." As soon as those words left my lips, a warm, tingling feeling started to move throughout my veins. It was excruciatingly painful, and I gasped for air as it spread like wildfire, burning every inch of my body. "It's happening," Kia said excitedly in my mind. "What is?" I managed to cry out through the excruciating burning sensation. "Your powers are returning," Kia said. What the fuck was she going on about? Kia's fur started glowing in my mind. It was so blinding that I needed to look away, and I concentrated throughout the excruciating pain on the red glowing eyes. The red eyes suddenly disappeared, and I focused my senses on finding him. Movement caught my attention, and I shifted my head just enough to see him move to a different dark corner of the cave. I was now finding this cat-and-mouse game boring and extended my claws. I will not let him take me by surprise again. "I guess you don't remember," he said when I didn't answer. "Remember what exactly?" I snapped angrily. "That you drugged and kidnapped me? That you took me away from my mates?" "Temper, temper, your highness," he said, chuckling. "You are still as feisty as the day I met you. I don't know what you are talking about," I growled. "I am not surprised that you can't remember," he said, his voice filled with pure anger. I lifted and moved my gaze toward the dark side of the cave, listening to his angry voice. The next second, he came forward, and who I saw next in the light caught me totally off guard. "Colt's POV. It's a woman's handwriting," Gray said, dropping the envelope and its contents on my desk. "Who would want a murderer released?" Alpha Duncan asked tiredly. "It must be his mate," Sam said. "Who else would want him not to be executed?" "It makes sense," I agreed, staring at the white envelope in front of me. "But do you think she is responsible for kidnapping Kate?" I slowly lifted my gaze to Gray, waiting for a reply. "I don't know," he said truthfully. "I'm afraid that it might be possible." "But everyone in the pack knows that Kate has gone missing," Sam interrupted. "Anyone could have written that letter to scare us, even if they didn't take Kate." "Do you think that someone would take advantage of the situation?" I asked. "For this reason, yes, I do," Sam said, crossing his arms around his chest. "If Sam is right, we could just proceed with our original plan and go down to the tunnels and search. But if he wasn't, we would be going on a wild goose chase and end up losing Kate." "Ask Alpha Duncan what he thinks," Ray suggested. He was still on edge, snapping at the smallest things, but at least I knew it had to do with Kate. I frowned, worried. Why couldn't Sam pick up Kate's emotions? Did something happen? Was there some kind of block? "What do you think we should do, Alpha Duncan?" I asked. Gray narrowed his eyes at me, surprised that I had asked Alpha Duncan's advice and not his. Sam's face twisted in surprise, and I almost chuckled loudly. "What are you doing, asking Alpha Duncan for advice?" Gray linked. "He is too emotional to make a proper decision. He can't even think straight." "I want his input," I replied. "The prisoner is one of his pack members, and his daughter is the one who's gone missing. We need to make decisions about Kate," Sam snapped. "She is our mate, not him. I will not put Kate or our pups' lives in jeopardy." "Let me handle this," I linked back. Alpha Duncan sighed, and my attention moved back to him. "I can't believe it has come to this," Alpha Duncan said, rubbing his worried face. "Release Brian. I can't bear to lose my beloved daughter." Alpha Duncan's words rang in my ears. I couldn't believe that he would consider releasing Brian, not after what Brian did to his daughter and my brother David. "Are you insane?" Gray snapped angrily, shaking me out of my thoughts. "Brian will hunt Kate down. He might even find and kill her." Maybe that was the only way to find Kate and the one behind the letter. My gaze moved back to the letter, and I picked it up. I haven't read it myself. Gray read it to all of us. The letter just stated to release Brian before something horrible happens to Kate. "Calm down," I ordered. "Maybe the idea of releasing Brian isn't as bad as it sounds," I said, keeping my tone level. I was worried. I wasn't only worried about Kate and the pups' lives and safety, but also about my brother's mental state. If something happened to Kate, we all would suffer. I closed my eyes for less than a second, seeing how Sam loses control and destroys everything we worked so hard for, and Gray becomes a bitter old wolf, not caring if the world goes to hell. "This is our mate we are talking about," Sam growled, shattering my thoughts as he extended his canines. Alpha Duncan quickly got up and moved away from Sam, seeing that his wolf had taken control. "Luca, get a f***ing grip on yourself," I growled. "Let me explain." Things suddenly slowed around me, and before I could get on my feet and drop the envelope, Sam shifted into Luca and released a roar, shaking the pack house windows. I could hear pack members screaming in panic and running for their lives. "Fuck!" Alpha Duncan swore, taking the words right out of my mouth. "Father," I linked. Sam lost control over Luca. "Get the pack members to safety." I shut the link just as fast as I opened it, watching Alpha Duncan take a startled and frightened step toward the exit. "Don't move," I warned him. "Luca will see you as an enemy, and he will go for you." "He is much stronger than Colt," Gray warned. or any other wolf we know. Alpha Duncan's eyes widened in fear. Stay still and don't make any sudden movements, I warned. Gray took a careful step away from Luca. He knew very well what could happen if Luca charged at him. I slowly got to my feet, lifted my hands in the air, and slowly and carefully moved around the office table. Luca's eyes were pinned on me, following my every movement. Sam, take control of your beast, I ordered. No one needs to get hurt today. We are not the enemy. I have a plan. Not by releasing Brian. Luca's voice rang in my mind, and I flinched, startled, and looked at Gray. He had the same disbelieved expression stuck on his face. Luca, I said carefully, where is Sam? He is taking a short nap, he growled. What? Why? Gray choked, surprised. Sam wouldn't just give Luca control. He must have done something to Sam. He's not listening to me, Luca said. None of you are listening. If Brian touches one hair on Kate's head, I will personally rip all of you apart. I am not going to let that happen, I promised. Please, now listen to me. No, Luca roared, jumping forward. You listen to me. Ray started scratching on the surface. He wanted out. He didn't like that Luca wasn't obeying me. Let me have him, Ray said. I will show him who the rightful alpha is around here. Back off, I warned Ray. I can't deal with you two. What do you suggest we do? Gray asked, noticing my struggle. We will keep to our original plan, Luca said. We still have time. What if it backfires? I asked. If we release Brian, we could follow him and find Kate. Luca shook his head. Releasing Brian would only complicate things. Luca roared. Keep to the original plan. We will find her ourselves. Catherine POV. I guess you are surprised to see me? Carlo's voice bounced against the cave walls and echoed down the tunnels. He had a sinister smile on his lips, which gave me the chills. Surprised wasn't the word I would use, but it did leave me speechless. How could I be so blind and not see that he was behind all of this? Oh, come on, Kate, Carlo said. I can't believe you never expected anything. I shook my head. I never, in my wildest dreams, thought that Carlo of all people was behind my kidnapping. He was always so kind and warm-hearted towards everyone. His personality was luring you in, and you couldn't help but like him. He was seen as one of us, even though he was a rogue. Was this all just an act to get to me? My thoughts wandered off. Was he responsible for all those rogue attacks? Was he responsible for killing all those innocent wolves? My gaze snapped back at him, and anger filled my veins. How dare he blindside everyone into believing he was coming in peace? You signed alliances with all the packs. I spat in anger. Oh, yes, about that, he said, lifting a finger and finding my anger hilarious. I couldn't bind myself down to only one pack. It is much easier to create alliances and be friendly with everyone. I am an alpha, after all. How else would I be able to move among the packs without anyone suspecting? How? The simple words escaped my lips. How did I find out about you? Carlos asked. I slowly nodded my head, and a wicked smile followed on Carlo's lips. I knew the goddess would eventually allow her only daughter to roam the world again. She couldn't keep you hidden forever, Carlo said, his eyes turning red. I also knew that she would send you somewhere safe where her people would be able to hide and protect you. Why? I asked, which made Carlo sigh. Why here? I nodded. Don't you know anything? He asked, throwing his hands into the air. No, I said, shaking my head. Carlo looked at me in disbelief, then shifted his head to the side with a frown on his face. She whipped your memory? He said, bursting out laughing. Did she think that whipping your memory would keep me from finding you? I don't know, I said. Mother Moon never went out of her way to talk to me, so I have no idea what her plans were for me. Typical, Carlos lashed out. Well, this was the goddess home from home, he said. She spent many hours among her people here, moving between the 10 packs. How do you know you are not making a mistake? How do you know I am the one you were looking for? I asked. I was hoping he would doubt himself and let me go, but I should have known Carlo had done his homework. I have a habit of attending shifting ceremonies, Carlo said, his eyes flashing red again, especially those of ranked she-wolves. You were at my shifting? I gasped, in disbelief. How the hell did he get in? My father kept it a pack-only event. That's right, I was there the night of your shift, he said. When your father announced that you had found your mate, I didn't think much of it until I saw the images in the fire. Carlo stalked closer and shifted his head to the side as his piercing gaze moved over me. He was enjoying the surprised look on my face. "The goddess only sends messages to special wolves," Carlo continued. That made me wonder. My gaze snapped toward Carlo, and I narrowed my eyes at him, and the corners of Carlo's lips lifted into a sinister smile. "I wasn't sure if you were just one of those ranked wolves the goddess, so favor and love," he said. "You were responsible for the rogue attack?" I gasped in horror as the event flashed before my eyes. "Are you responsible for the pack house fire too?" "I called my pack of rogues to help create a diversion to get close to you," he said. "But your bloody best friend saw me letting them cross the border." "Sarah started the fire?" I asked, confused. I never thought she would do something like that. The same wicked smile followed Carlo's lips. "No, she fled into the pack house in search of your alpha. I tried to keep her quiet by starting a fire, but she managed to escape the flames," Carlo said, and something in his eyes told me he had found another way to do so. "To ensure that she didn't reveal my secret, I called your father and requested that she and your so-called mate attend a small ceremony." My blood boiled inside my veins. Carlo was even responsible for ruining Sarah and Brian's lives. I should have listened and believed them. "I had the best time toying with them," Carlo continued. "I had the whole night to drug and manipulate them. They didn't even know what they were doing or how they had ended up in one another's bed. But I never thought that Sarah and Brian would keep on seeing each other after that night. That was a bonus. I guess Brian felt responsible for making Sarah pregnant and betraying your trust." "You are responsible for Brian rejecting me," I yelled, feeling the pain of betrayal ripple through my chest. What would have happened if I had decided to forgive him? "Oh, come on, Kate," he said. "We both know that Brian wasn't meant to be by your side. You are much stronger than him. He would eventually have seen you as a threat and tried to kill you." "You don't know that," I snapped. "I do," he said. "Why do you think Ethan rejected you? I knew he wasn't good for you either." I was surprised that Carlo knew Ethan. "What did you do to Ethan?" I asked carefully. Carlo laughed, finding my question funny. "Do you really care?" he asked, shifting his head to the side. "Yes, tell me," I said. "I want to know." "Okay then," Carlo said, making himself comfortable against a rock. "You were shopping when Ethan first sensed you." I narrowed my eyes. "Did Carlo stalk me? Did Ethan know about me for days?" Carlo licked his lips. "I kept tabs on you," he said, folding his arms. "I knew you were jumping from the rehabilitation center to the next, hoping to find a cure for your disability. It's just a pity that you didn't know it was your own wolf who kept you away from home." I flinched. Kia told me something else. She told me that she needed to heal me, and the rejections were making her weaker. Did she deliberately take my legs so that I would leave my home? I pushed the thought to the side, not caring about that anymore. Kia must have done that to keep me safe because she knew he was looking for me. "Did you force Ethan to reject me?" I growled. What Carlo told me next opened up a new flood of different emotions. Catherine POV. "No, yes, maybe," Carlo said. "Which is it?" I growled. Carlo smiled excitedly at what he knew. "I saw him approach you, so I stopped him," Carlo said. "I told him to wait and celebrate his last day as an unmated wolf. He is such a cocky wolf that he took the bait. I might have given him a little too much to drink, and I might have slipped him something while he was intoxicated. Then I told him about your little secret." Carlo got to his feet, shaking his head. Lothar is annoyed. "You know what he told me?" he asked angrily. "No," I said, hoping Carlo would stay where he was and not come closer. "He said he didn't mind you being disabled," Carlo growled. My heart sank. Ethan actually wanted me, and Carlo was the one who destroyed that. "So I told him that you would be a liability to his pack," Carlo said, smiling. "What would his council think if he took someone like you as his Luna?" Ethan's cruel and harsh words echoed in my ears, and that was all because of Carlo. He was responsible for breaking me. He was responsible for my low self-esteem. He is the reason why I believed I was not worth being alive. "When you returned home, I was hoping to declare my love to you," Carlo continued. "I had the whole thing planned. All I needed was to tell you." "But Alpha Colt and his brothers arrive at the restaurant," I said, and a ghost of a smile followed on my lips, thinking of my and Colt's first encounter. Yes, and I couldn't get rid of them, Carlo said. When all three of them declared they were your mates, I knew I needed to get creative. I narrowed my eyes at Carlo, not understanding what he was saying. The rogue, he said, lifting his eyebrows. Remember the one Raven accidentally ran over? Christopher? I asked. What does he have to do with this? How do you think I know so much? Carlo asked. Gary was very helpful. He knew how much you meant to me. It was nice of you to give him a home inside your pack. The rogue's name is Gary? I asked, shaking my head in disbelief. Yes, and he was very helpful, Carlo said. Let me guess, I said angrily. He worked his way into Sarah's heart. She took him under her wing and he manipulated her to give him information about me? Yep, that sums it up, he said proudly. Your parents still spoke to Sarah. They include her in everything you do. They were hoping that you two would make up and be friends again. It all worked in my favor. That's why he knew where I was. That's why the rogues went to the Black Beach house. Who took Ellie? I asked. You know the answer to that question already, Carlo said, pulling his lips in a thin line. Just for interest's sake, Brian never wanted to leave the prison. He was convinced that he needed to suffer the consequences of his actions. Gary convinced him that I would be able to cure him. I gasped in disbelief. You tricked him! Carlo burst out laughing again, finding everything hilarious. Was he crazy? You know what? He asked, whipping the laughing tears from his eyes when he got his laughter under control. The substances I gave him influenced his wolf. It makes his wolf go crazy. I know. Very good, he said, applauding me. You learned quite fast. Do you know how to reverse the effect? No, I said, shaking my head, but maybe if I kept Carlo talking, I might find out how to reverse everything and help Brian and Ethan. The only way to reverse the effect is for them to find someone who loves and cares for them, Carlo said, pleased. Who would want a rogue as a mate, especially when they are dangerous, stripped from their ranks, and wanted for execution? So they need to find a mate? I asked. Am I understanding that correctly? Is that why they came back looking for me? Is that why Brian lost control over his beast when I rejected his proposal? Yes, he said, and his body posture quickly changed to more hostile when he remembered something that looked like it frustrated him. The alpha and beta work so well together, Carlo said, searching my gaze. That was until... Until what? I interrupted, interested to know what had interfered with Carlo's plans. Carlo stalked closer until he stopped a couple of feet from me. Both found their f***ing second changemate, he said. I had to improvise getting you out of the pack house unseen. What? I asked. Did I hear right? Who are they? You would be surprised when you found out, Carlo said. How did you get me out unseen? I asked, wanting answers. What did he use to drug me with? A cold feeling ran down my back as Carlo took the last few steps toward me and came to a hold in front of me. He moved a stray hair from my face and carefully moved it behind my ear. I pulled my head away from him, which upset Carlo, making the muscles in his jaw pull tightly. There are many ways to skin a cat, he said, lifting my chin and holding it in place with his fingers and thumb. You just need to find the one who is willing to show you the right way. What was he talking about? Let go of me, I growled and clawed at him. Butch! Carlo yelled out in pain, earning me a slap in the face. I fell back on the bed, and Carlo jumped onto me. Get the fuck off me, I yelled, trying to push Carlo off and protect my baby bump. Carlos pinned me down. He locked my hands above my head and used his body to keep me in place. He was much bigger and physically stronger than me, leaving me and my belly vulnerable. You are so fucking beautiful, he whispered in my ear, and you smell so delicious. Get off me, I growled. I am already marked and mated. I don't want you as a mate. Are you sure? Carlo asked. I will give you the world. Colt and his brothers are not worthy of you. They are, I spat. I love each and every one of them. They are my mates, not you. Carlo moved his head over my breast, sniffing me. He looked as if he were getting intoxicated by my scent. You are mine, he said. I will remove the mark Colt had left on your nape, and I will make sure the pups will never survive. No, I yelled. I will not let you do that. I struggled against Carlo's hold, doing anything and everything to fight him off. Carlo lifted his head, opened his mouth, and extended his canines. My mark will replace Alpha Colt's, he said, with a baleful smile. and the poison in my marking will ensure to slowly smother your offspring until they are dead. Then I would make sure to replace them with my seed. Carlo lowered his head and scrapped over Colt's marking spot. I screamed out in excruciating pain, but before he could sink his canines into my nape, things took a different direction. Colt's POV. All set? I asked. All set, Gray said. Everyone is ready to shift. Sam nodded as he hovered in front of the entrance of the underground tunnel. Luca refused to shift back until we found Kate, and the only reason he gave Sam control was because we made a deal with him. We have decided to stay with the original plan, while my father, Beta John, and Alpha Duncan will be tending to Brian's execution. Let's go, I ordered, and one by one, the warriors shifted into their wolves. We will be taking 30 of the best warriors down the tunnels. 20 warriors would be staying behind, guarding this exit. Have you entered the tunnels as yet? My father linked. We are about to, I replied. Good luck, sons, he said, his voice strained out of worry. Be saved! Always, I replied. We will be here sooner than you think. We might even make Brian's execution, Gray said, coming closer. I would love to be there and see that, Sam said. Luca wants to make sure that Brian is dead. You know that when you are dead, I huffed. You know what I mean, Sam said. I don't want any surprises again. That asshole has created enough problems already. We are not taking any chances. I second that, Gray said, and he shifted his head toward me. Ready? Let's do this, I said, turning my attention to my warriors. Fellow warrior, I linked that, we are entering the unknown tunnels in search of your future Luna, who was taken from our pack last night. The group of warriors growled. They were angry at hearing about the news. Please be wary of your surroundings, Gray linked. We don't know who is inside and in what condition these tunnels are. Yes, Alpha Colt. We understand, Beta Gray, the warriors answer in unison. Then it's settled, Sam said, turning toward the entrance. Let's go find our Luna and kill the son of a bitch for taking her. Sam was the first to enter the tunnels, followed by Gray. I was the last one, with the warriors hot on my tail. As soon as I set all 4 paws inside the tunnels, images like memories filled my mind. I tried to shake them off, but about 100 feet inside the tunnel, I froze in my spot. There was no way I could move forward. The images and scenes had taken over my mind and were too vivid to proceed. I was trapped inside my mind and unable to move. What the fuck is going on? I growled, frustrated. Is this some kind of magic trick to throw me off? I could hear Sam and Gray running closer to me. What's wrong, Colt? Gray linked. I howled out in pain. Colt, talk to us, man, Sam yelled over the link. We can't help you if... Sam's voice died off, and my focus turned to the excruciating pain that flowed like waves through my body. Every cell in my body felt like they were set alight, and it seemed like they were feeding on the tunnel's energy. What is this about? I growled through the pain. Stay calm, Gray yelled next to me. I'm getting the doctor. Ray came closer. His eyes carried conflict, sadness, and worry. I'm sorry, he said, dropping his gaze. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Confused, I lifted my gaze in search of his. Did he do this to me? Is he responsible? What are you talking about? I asked, feeling my body twist in pain. What is this? This was the only way I could save you, Ray said. I don't understand, I yelled. I'll show you, Ray said, and something like an old memory started flashing before my eyes. 2 people were standing and having a conversation, one of whom I recognized as myself. I couldn't make out the second person's face, but I looked relaxed and acquainted with him. He had his hands on my shoulders and appeared friendly towards me, but his face stayed blurry as if someone had deliberately removed it. She has gone down to the underground fountain, the man said. She has a little surprise for you. Surprise, you say? I asked, and I chuckled, embarrassed. Yes, a huge one, he said, sounding happy and excited for me. She has exciting news to share with you. Do you know what news she wants to share with me? I asked curiously. Then it wouldn't be a surprise, he said, laughing. Something about this wolf's laughter sounded familiar, yet I couldn't place it. Why do I feel so comfortable trusting him, yet everything inside me is screaming that I shouldn't? Fine, I said, giving in and laughing. You win. Take me to her. I followed the wolf down the tunnels, pondering what my mate wanted to tell me. Was it good or bad news? Would I be happy to hear the news? Was my life going to change when I heard the news? Was she with Pup? Roaring water sounded, cutting off my worry. "We must be close. Go ahead," he said, gesturing down the tunnel. He must have seen my anxious and excited state. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Totally," he said. "I will catch up." I flew down that tunnel as if it were the last time I would ever be running. As soon as I saw the end, I slowed down to an easy and comfortable running pace. I didn't want to be out of breath when I exited the tunnel. I mentally prepared myself, taking the last few steps out of the tunnel. "Wow, this is amazing!" I gasped, exiting the tunnel into the cave. I didn't waste any time on the spectacular view. We would enjoy the view together later. My gaze moved toward the water, seeing a girl sitting with her back to me. Some clothes lay on a rock close by, and I shifted, getting dressed. I slowly walked closer to the girl. "My love," I called. "I came as soon as I heard." The girl turned her face towards me and frowned. I took a bewildered step back. "It wasn't my mate." "Oh, I'm sorry," I said, startled. "I thought you were someone else." "It's all right," she said. "I am not sure who you are looking for. I am the only one down here today." "It can't be," I argued. "I was told that." I turned around to go back the way I came from, but a burning sensation kept me from moving. A woman's scream confirmed what my mind wasn't registering, and I looked down, seeing blood pouring out of me. "What the fuck?" I said, lifting my shocked gaze and looking into my murderer's eyes. "Goodbye, Alpha," the man said. "It was a pleasure knowing you." The next second, I was pushed, losing my balance and falling into the freezing, crystal-clear waters. "Colt, are you all right, brother?" Gray's worried voice sounded next to mine, forcing the horrified images from my mind. He had his hand on one of my shoulders, shaking me slightly. My bewildered gaze met his, and then my gaze moved toward the wolves standing around us. I have miraculously shifted back to human without even knowing about it. "I am," I said, and I gestured for him to help me to my feet. Gray pulled me up, and I started dusting myself. "What happened?" I asked. "You screamed, then started mumbling random things," Sam said. "What was that all about?" Gray asked. "I know where these tunnels go," I said, ignoring the actual question. "I know where it will end." "Then let's not waste more time," Sam linked. I gave him a nod of the head, started running, and shifted midair. I knew what I needed to do, and I knew where to find her. The question was, would I be on time to save Kate? Catherine POV. My skin was on fire, and I struggled against Carlo's hold, and I screamed. There was no way I would let Carlo sink his canines into me. Carlo pulled his head back and searched my gaze. A deadly smile followed on his lips as his eyes turned red. He handed control over to his wolf, and it would act on pure instinct. Rogue wolves were hard to control. As soon as they gain control, they will block their human side completely and only rely on instinct. I will not have a chance of escaping now. "Oh, goddess, please," I silently prayed. "I don't want to be marked for him." "Call his wolf," Kia suddenly suggested. "Call his name." "I don't know what he is called," I yelled back at Kia. I managed to pull my arms against my neck and block him off to be able to sink his canines into my nape. But it was only a temporary solution. I was running tired, and I was losing the battle. "Ask him," Kia ordered. "He will have no other choice but to obey and answer." "He is a bloody rogue, Kia," I snapped. "He wouldn't listen. He doesn't belong to a normal pack. There is no rank." "There is," Kia said, sounding excited. "Don't you see? Even if he doesn't belong to a pack, he still belongs to the goddess. You are her daughter. He must obey you. You are his superior." "He is not going to listen to me," I argued, feeling pins and needles starting up in my arms. I was slowly becoming exhausted under his hold. I wouldn't be able to hold on much longer. "Do you have any other suggestions?" she asked. "No," I yelled out, defeated. "Then ask him his name," Kia yelled. "It's worth a try." Carlo's wolf held me in place, patiently waiting for me to burn off my energy. He knew that I would eventually run tired under his hold, and then he would strike and mark me. "What's your name, big guy?" I asked, trying not to give away my plan. Startled, the wolf moved his head back and looked at me, confused. "What did you just say?" he asked, knitting his eyebrows. "Your name," I said. "I asked you your name. Tell me your name." He shook his head, confused. "Why?" he asked. "Because I want to know," I said. The wolf looked at me for a few seconds, hesitating. "No one has ever asked me that before," he answered. Then it's a good thing that I would be the first, I said, feeling his grip around my wrists loosen. Let me be the first to know. Kylo, he said, looking kind of proud. Kylo, I repeated, meaning heaven or sky? Sure is, he said proudly. The goddess named me personally. Like a fallen angel. It is a beautiful name, I admitted. Kylo looked at me satisfied. Do you like it? He asked. I do, I said, and under normal circumstances I would have said, it was nice to meet you. Confusion crossed Kylo's eyes. Take the opportunity now, Kia ordered. What do I say? I asked. Just order him to back off, Kia suggested. I swallowed hard at the bump that had formed in my throat. Kylo, get off me, please, I said. Kylo turned his head sideways and knitted his eyebrows, yet he didn't move an inch. Order him, Kia yelled. Don't ask him. Tell him to get the fuck off us now. I took a huge breath. Kylo, I said, my voice filled with authority. Let go and get off me. I now order you to step away from me. Kylo's expression changed, and his face twisted in pain as my words reached his ears. He let go of my hands and slowly got off me while he struggled to obey my command. I quickly pulled myself into a sitting position to move away from him. Kylo took a step away from the bed. His eyes were flickering between red and blue. Was Kylo trying to regain control? Would Kylo give in and hand it to him? Kylo whimpered, grabbing his head as he sank to his knees. A piercing, screeching sound escaped his lips before the cave suddenly ended in unnerving silence. A cold chill ran down my back, and an unholy feeling pushed up from the pit of my stomach. I think I should leave, I told myself. I slowly moved myself to the edge of the bed, being careful not to make any sudden movement or noise, and carefully lowered my legs off the bed. I was hoping to be able to pull myself into a standing position and then make my way out of there. I had practiced hard to be able to pull myself up in a standing position, but this time I had no support. I was all on my own. I know you can do it, Kia urged. I have faith in you. I carefully pushed myself onto my legs, feeling my legs wobble beneath me. I grabbed the bedpost, holding onto it to stabilize myself. A small smile formed at the corners of my lips. I was standing without anyone supporting me. I did it. See, that wasn't as hard, Kia mused. Now comes the grand finale. I moved my gaze toward the exit, calculating how far it was. This will be the furthest I will ever walk on my own. Here goes nothing. I let go of the bedpost and concentrated on lifting my right leg, taking my first step away from the bed. I felt relieved when I was able to move my left leg closer without falling. Just as I took my next step, movement caught my eye. I froze in my tracks. Shut! I internally gasped. Carlo was waking up. My heart pounded in my chest. It was just a couple of more steps to the exit, and I would be in the tunnels. Then what? Will I be able to escape? God, give me strength, I whispered, forcing my legs to move. But before I could reach the exit, Carlo shifted in his brown and white wolf, pouncing my way. A scream escaped my lips as Kylo pounced, opening his claws to catch me and bring me down hard. There was no escape for me anymore. My face froze in pure horror. I could already imagine seeing him knocking me over, dragging me back, and marking me. My hands protectively folded around my swollen belly, and I turned my body away, awaiting the impact. I knew I had lost. I knew I wouldn't be able to escape without a miracle. Goddess, I begged, tears spilling over, please tell my mates that I love them. Colt's POV. What the fuck? Sam growled, surprised, over the link when a horrific scream came echoing down the tunnel. It could only mean one thing, Kate. Every hair on my body rose, and the adrenaline in my veins increased, forcing Ray's legs to run faster. I need to get to Kate. I need to save her from whoever took her, and I need to end this today. I slowed my pace as soon as the light at the end of the tunnel came into view. It wasn't far anymore, and I could easily be there in just a few seconds. A familiar scent lingered in the air, and it started to fill my nostrils the closer I got to the end of the tunnel. My eyes widen, recognizing the smell, and I lift my muzzle in the air to take a deep whiff of my surroundings. That confirmed it, rogues. We were not alone, and there were quite a few of them sitting down there. How the hell did they enter the pack undetected? The tunnel suddenly forked, and the scent of rogues thickened around me. I suddenly wondered where those tunnels would go and who had built them. Was it rogues, and if so, were they used to getting in and out of our territory? The new extensions of the tunnel must have been added recently. There were no additional tunnels added to the old blueprints we looked at earlier. "We need to get rid of them," Ray said. I nodded in agreement. "Gray, take some of the warriors and go down that tunnel," I said, turning Ray's huge head and gesturing to the right. Gray's eyes widened. He was unsure what to make of my plan change. "Sam, you take the rest and go down the left," Luca huffed. He wasn't happy with the changes. "We have agreed to break up into teams. We would fight side by side as one man and one pack." "Shouldn't we stay together?" Sam linked. "It's safer for all of us to stay together." "I need you to do as I say," I said. I knew my brothers would try to talk me out of my plan. "What are you up to?" Gray asked. "Why are you dividing us into groups?" "And where are you going?" Sam asked, and Luca came from the side, cutting me off. I knew he would do something stupid like that. He could sense that I was up to something. Ray huffed, annoyed. He wasn't in the mood to argue. "I'm going straight for the dragon's head," I said, moving my gaze back to the light at the end of the tunnel. "Are you crazy?" Sam growled. "That's suicidal." "You don't know who is in there," Gray snapped. "Kate's there," I said, turning my attention back to my brothers. "She needs us. She needs our help." "Our help," Sam snarled, getting in my face. His eyes changed to a dark shade. He was upset and not pleased about my change of plans. "Not only with your help," Gray growled. "Ours. We should go together," Sam snarled. "We are all her mates." I knew if we were all now in human form, Sam would have put me down and made me eat dirt. But now, even if he tried, I would find a way to escape him. "I know," I barked. "That's why I need you to clean the tunnels out first." Gray and Sam gave me a blank stare. They had no idea what I was talking about. "They are infested," I said. "Infested with what?" Both growled together. "Don't you smell the stench?" I asked. "Don't you smell that overpowering smell?" Sam and Gray looked at each other and shook their heads. "No," Gray snapped, irritated. "We don't know what you were talking about. Is he serious right now? Am I the only one smelling the rogues in the tunnels?" "Tell us what you are smelling," Sam demanded. "Rogues," I snapped. "I smell rogues down in the tunnels. They are everywhere." Gray flinched. Sam recoiled in horror, and both their heart rates excelled in fear. Not because of fighting and chasing off the rogues from our territory, but because of Kate being unprotected. "There are rogues down these tunnels," I said as calmly as I could, even though every living cell inside my body was screaming out in fear. "I need you to get rid of them and then come help me," I said sternly. "But," Sam started. "No, Sam," I said, stopping him. I knew what he wanted to say, and I wasn't changing my mind. "We are all three powerful alpha males. We need to protect what is ours. That includes our mate, the pack, and its members. Use your abilities." I shifted my gaze toward the end of the tunnel and back at them. "I will be fine. I promised. Just do your part." Sam let out a long and nervous breath, turned his gaze toward the warriors, and moved toward his allocated tunnel. Luca shifted his gaze toward us, nodded, and disappeared into the tunnel with warriors nipping at his tail. "It is your turn, Gray," I said, finding Duke's gaze. "Make them pay for what they did to our father for taking Kate and attacking our pack." Gray kept silent for a moment, and his gaze roamed over me. He was trying to get a read on me. "You saw something," he eventually said. "That's why you are doing this." "It doesn't matter if I did or did not see something," I said, feeling emotionally tired. "We have more urgent matters to attend to than you, knowing what I saw." "So you did see something?" Gray asked, his eyes glowing out of anger. "I didn't say that," I growled. He was now officially pissing me off and wasting our time. A cheeky smile followed on the corners of Duke's lips, and he suddenly nodded, turned his gaze toward the group of warriors, gestured for them to follow him, and disappeared down his tunnel into the darkness. I sighed. "We had better move," Ray said, "before the rogues notice us being down here." I started running again, and my thoughts wandered off to Kate. She hasn't screamed again. Was she still alive? Was she still okay? I increased my pace to full speed, hearing the sound of water becoming louder. I froze when I reached the end of the tunnel and peeked my head out, looking inside. The cave inside didn't look anything like the memory Ray played for me. It was brighter, bigger, and even cleaner, as if someone over the years had made changes inside. "This can't be right," Ray said, alarmed. "I am certain." "Shh!" I hushed him, moving my ears from side to side. "Listen." "She is not here," Ray said. He was becoming more and more anxious the longer we stayed away from Kate, and it was disrupting his focus. She might be in the other tunnels, I finally said, turning around, yet a nagging feeling at the back of my head was telling me not to leave. A cold and unnerving feeling ran down my spine when the most fearful scream rang in my ears. I froze. Where the fuck did that scream come from? Ray took control, shooting forward like a bat out of hell after the sound. Catherine POV. My emotions were spiraling out of control. There was nothing I could do. I was saying goodbye to everyone in my life. There was no coming back if Carlo managed to mark me. My thoughts wander off toward my mates. I recalled each of their faces in my mind, their smells and their perfect personalities. I loved them so much. I never understood the true meaning of loving someone so deeply that you couldn't continue your life without them. Until now. They have become my world, and I wouldn't be able to live with myself if. I wish I had known that sooner. I wish I could tell them how much I loved and adored them. Tears flew deeply down my face. I only had experience with heartbreak and rejection before, and love had become an unreachable aspect of my life. Kia whimpered, feeling just as sad as I was. I knew very well how it felt to have your heart ripped out of your chest and your hope of having a loving future crushed. I was familiar with the kind of bitter taste it left on your tongue as a reminder of that rejection. I was well aware of the wave of excruciating pain that passed through your body as it forced the bond you shared apart. Now I knew what love was, and I didn't want to lose that feeling with the boys. I would rather die than end up being Carlo's mate. I could just imagine how heartbroken my mates would be, and a painful feeling rippled through my heart. Would the triplets understand? "Oh, goddess, help," I whispered. Memories of the boys flashed before my eye. Our first meeting, our first picnic and swim, the ride in my car, the beach house, the ball, and the look on my mates' faces when we found out that I was pregnant. I imagined feeling how the boys' hands roamed over my body, how they made love to me. I shivered and held on to those memories as warm tears burned their way down my cheeks. "Forgive me, my mates," I said, moving my lips without making a sound. "I love you." A roar sounded behind me and my eyes flew open. I recognized the sound as one of my mates. "He found us! He found us!" Kia yelled out, relieved and excited. "Who found us?" I asked. "Is that—" "Ray," Kia chirps happily. "I thought they would never be able to find us." I sobbed. I turned to look over my shoulder just in time to see the massive black beast pounce and knock Carlo to the side. Ray grabbed Carlo, flung him to the side, and came crashing down against the cave wall. He then stepped forward and positioned himself between Carlo and me. Carlo got to his feet a moment later, shook his head, and roared. Then he pounced and went at Ray. Ray fought Carlo effortlessly and blocked his hit flawlessly. It seemed to be both working and tiring Carlo. Ray struck Carlo, sending him to the floor. Carlo got back on his feet, lifted his head, and released a long howl. "He's called for reinforcement," Kia growled angrily. A sinister smile followed on Carlo's lips, and my gaze unwillingly moved towards the exit of the cave, hearing snarls coming from it. Where were Sam and Gray? Did they let Colt come alone? Ray was powerful, but he would not be able to fend hundreds of rogues off at the same time. Seconds later, hundreds of rogues poured into the cave and ran to Carlo's side. Ray stood his ground, making sure to keep them away from me. A brown wolf pounced forward, attacking Ray. Ray remained composed, and just as the rogue came close enough, Ray jumped and clawed the rogue midair, leaving him with a 3-claw scar running down his face. The rogue ran off, wailing. Carlo's face hardened, and the next second, 10 wolves walked forward. Ray yapped, shaking his head, annoyed. This was so unfair. Carlo was going to use his men to tire Ray and get to me. Ray turned his gaze toward me. Only love reflected from his eyes. He would fight to his death to save me. Carlo barked and the rogues pounced forward. Ray fought the rogues off like a real hero. Time and again, Carlo sent more and more rogues, yet Ray defended and clawed the rogues with not much effort. I was getting worried. I could see Ray was getting tired, and then Carlo would take his chance. 5 more wolves pounced forward, and one managed to knock Ray off his feet. The rogues took their chance and attacked Ray while he was down. My hands flew to my lips, and a horrific scream escaped my lips, drawing the rogues' attention toward me. "Shh!" I managed to whisper when the first few rogues stalked forward toward me. They have surrounded me and created a circle around me. My gaze fell on Ray. He was lying on the floor, not moving, and blood was oozing out from his wounds. Is he dead? My heart skipped a beat, and tears burned behind my eyelids. Oh, goddess, I internally begged. Please tell me he is okay. A rogue wolf pounced forward, startling me, and I took a step back. My legs wobbled under my weight, and I needed to concentrate on staying upright. I wasn't able to move fast enough to run over and try and save myself, and every inch I moved on my legs felt as if I were walking miles at an end. My legs started to hurt, and my thighs started to cramp. Carlo huffed, and the rogues stopped in their tracks. He came forward, growled, and snapped at the rogue. Was he telling them to back off? The rogues obeyed his command, and they moved away from me. Carlo turned his massive head, winked at me, and shifted back to human. The sound of breaking bones filled my ears, and I shifted my gaze away. Dear mate, Carlo's voice filled the air. Don't be shy. Take a proper look at the winner. I have won your hand. You are a bastard, I yelled, feeling anger boiling in my veins. You used your mutts to do your dirty work. The rogues hissed. I will never be yours, I said. You are a cold-hearted murderer. Carlo's face turned red. If that is what you believe, let me teach you a lesson, Carlo said, nodding at the rogues. Kill him! The rogues shifted their heads toward Colt and prepared themselves for an attack. But before they could pounce forward and touch Colt's helpless body, something unexpected happened. Colt's POV. Fuck! I whimpered under my breath, feeling my body hurt at places I didn't know existed. I forced my eyes open, turning my head toward the snarls and growls next to me. The rogues have surrounded Kate and are snapping their jaws at her. My gaze landed on Carlo. I never expected him to be here. Was he the one behind all the attacks? Was he responsible for taking Kate? It doesn't make sense. He never once hinted that he liked Kate in that way before. He never once said a word that he joined a pack. A pack of rogues, Ray said, coming closer and looking exhausted. He is their alpha. My wound started to burn. Ray had started the healing process. I bit down on my jaw, praying not to make a peep. The claw gashes on my back were deep, and blood was still oozing from them. Why does he want Kate? I asked, trying to distract me. Because she's Mother Moon's only daughter, Ray said. She has great power inside her, and he wants to be king over all the wolves. But she doesn't know she has the power to stop him? I asked. She knows, Ray said, swallowing hard. But Kia is using it to protect the pups. She refuses to leave the pups vulnerable. I completed Ray's thoughts. Ray nodded and went back to focusing on healing me. Sam? Gray? I linked. Yeah? Both replied, sounding annoyed. Where are you? I asked, swallowing a scream. Chasing after your ghost rogues in the tunnels. Sam snorted, and Gray huffed. I assume you didn't find them. I linked. What gave us away? Gray sneered. Because all of them are here. I huffed. Sam growled, and Gray hissed. Why didn't you just fucking say so? Sam roared, pissed. We will be therein. I didn't listen to the rest of Gray's words. Kate's angry screams filled my ears. I will never be yours. Her voice broke. You are a cold-hearted murderer. Did she believe I was dead? If that is what you believe, let me teach you a lesson, Carlo said. Kill him! My body ran cold. I was vulnerable now. I couldn't shift while Ray was busy healing me, and he already looked drained from all his strength. No. Kate's voice died off at the sound of breaking bones. Was it Carlo or Kate who shifted? Just as I was about to shift my head over my shoulder and take a look, a snow-white wolf launched itself between me and the rogues and roared. My heart skipped a beat. I could feel the authority of her roar touching my soul. Bravo, Carlo said, applauding. At least we are now done worrying about killing the pups. Kia didn't even flinch at Carlo's words. She stood her ground, using her body to cover and protect me. She growled and snapped her jaw at the rogues while power radiated protectively around her. Barking, snarling, and snapping echoed all around me. The rogues had made a circle around us, and they were nipping at my feet. Yet Kia growled, and the snapping of her jaw sounded above me. The cracking of bones followed, and the sound bounced against the walls of the cave. Carlo must have shifted. It suddenly fell silent around us, and only Kia's breathing and heart rate could be heard above me. Did Carlo and his mutts leave? The following second, chaos erupted, and Kia was pushed away from me. I quickly but carefully avoided making a noise, pushed myself upright, and headed toward the tunnel where I would meet Sam and Gray. Kia ended up with her back against the cave wall, with a new half-circle of rogues snarling at her. Carlo had shifted back and was talking to Kia. He must be trying to manipulate her by using his mutts. I reached the tunnel at the same time Gray and Sam ran out of theirs. The shifted back human and came running toward me. "How many?" Gray asked, coming closer. "About 100, I said. "I'm not sure. I didn't have time to count them." Gray nodded, going toward the exit to take a peek. "You look like shh," Sam commented. "You should have listened and not split the group." "Everything was fine until Carlo called his mutts," I explained. "Carlo? Like in Carlo? Carlo from Latinos?" Sam asked, bewildered. I nodded. "I didn't believe it either," I said. "Have a look." Sam passed me and rushed to the exit. His eyes widened, and then anger followed. "How dare he?" he growled. Sam pushed forward to shift, and both Gray and I pulled him back. At that very moment, something inside me changed. It was like a door opened, and information started to pour in. I knew how to stop Carlo and his pack of rogues. "Colt," Sam yelled, panicking. "Are you okay?" I wasn't sure what Sam saw on my face, but the immense power I could feel moving through my body was remarkable and exciting. My heartbeat escalated, and my eyesight and hearing intensified, creating a hunger to explore the source. I wanted to know what this was. I wanted to know what it held. I wanted to feel how deep this power went. I wanted to explore every layer of power. I knew I was different from my brothers, but I never unlocked the secret abilities everyone hoped I had. I knew there was a reason why I was born first to a triplet brother. I knew there was a reason why we were all connected the way we were. I concentrated, focusing my senses on Sam first. I could feel his powerful magic move around him. I could feel his strength in Luca. For some reason, I understood that the complexity of his magic and how to use it. Every magic book and research Sam did was at my disposal. Some of the magic spilled over to me and became alive inside me. For a second, I watched as the magic burned through my veins and then created a barrier around my skin, protecting me. "Fuck, that's incredible," I muttered under my breath. My heartbeat suddenly slowed, giving me a chance to turn my attention to Gray. Would I be able to feel him too? Would I understand his strategic mind? The same process repeats itself. The knowledge of everything Gray ever learned settled in my mind, and a web of information formed inside my mind. I could now understand why Duke moved so calculatedly. Every step he took was pure war strategy. "I'm fine," I said, smiling. Sam looked at me in disbelief, and Gray shook my head. "What happened?" Gray asked. I grabbed both my brother's shoulders and smiled. "I'll show you." "Catherine POV. Carlo," I barked. "Let us go." I had shifted back to human and tried to order the rogues to let me leave, but somehow Carlo had them under his control. They still kept a fair distance, but didn't back down. "Why should I?" Carlo asked, sneering. "You have nowhere to go. No one wants you, and Colt is dead. Gray and Sam would blame you for his death, not to mention the pack and his parents." My heart sank. Would Sam and Gray blame me? Would they believe me when I told him Carlo was responsible? My heart twisted in pain inside my chest, and my gaze moved to where Colt lay, only to find him gone. I flinched, yet I recovered quickly. "I guess you understand your dilemma then?" Carlo asked, taking my shock and bewildered expression as a good thing. I slowly nodded my head and moved my gaze from side to side, acting as if I were weighing my options and looking at the rogues around me. Movement caught my eye, and I noticed Sam peeking out of the tunnel, and his expression twisted out of pure anger. Sam was suddenly pulled back, and I narrowed my eyes, confused. "I am sure you have questions," Carlo suddenly asked. "Questions?" I replied, confused. "Yes," he said. "Did you ever wonder how we got in and out of the pack undetected?" "You used a substance that looks something like baby powder," I said. "Clever girl," Carlo praised. "I guess you picked up some tips from Sam." "What do you know about Sam?" I asked. "Little Sam?" Carlo threw his head back and laughed. "He doesn't know if he is coming or going. That alpha has no sense of responsibility or direction." Carlos lifted his index finger in the air. "Do you know what else I was doing except trying to find you?" he asked. Why was Carlo playing for time? He already knew I refused to take him as a mate. When I attacked a pack, I always found a way to weaken the current alpha. Sam was my target, Carlo said. He practically went crazy when his magic spiraled out of control. What did you do? I asked angrily. Carlo laughed from his stomach. I slipped something in his food when he visited me at the restaurant, Carlo said proudly. Why target him? I asked. Why not Colt or Gray? Because he is the weakest link, Carlo barked. Targeting him was targeting his pack. The weaker the alpha family, the easier it was to penetrate the pack. Did you do this with all the packs? I asked. Carlo laughed. Yes, he answered, except yours. Why? I asked, surprised. Because an alpha female never fully rules the pack, and Jimmy has already created enough drama to keep your father distracted. Distracted. Carlo must have used someone to keep me distracted. Then the name suddenly popped up, and I couldn't help but ask. Where does Leah fit into this? I asked, and Carlo flinched upon hearing her name. So he knows her, but how? Did he send her to me? Was she playing on Carlo's side? I do not know who you are talking about, Carlo said. Don't lie to me, I growled. You know exactly who Leah is. Carlo stormed forward, closing the distance between us. He came to a stop inches before my face. I don't know who she is, he spat in my face. I think you do. Carlo's hands snapped around my neck, choking me. His face was twisted in anger. Why was he doing this? Before I lost consciousness, an unknown, dominant roar echoed through the cave and bounced against the walls. Started, Carlo's gaze snapped toward the entrance of the cave, and he let go of me. I sank to my knees as I gasped for air, my hands rubbing the bruises around my throat. Carlo's face turned white as if he had seen a ghost, and he quickly hid behind the rogues. Was he afraid of the roar? Coward! The next moment, a huge multicolored wolf of gray, black, and white fur landed on his paws between me and the rogues. The rogues moved back, afraid of the huge, dominant intruder. The new wolf threw his head back, released a long and high-pitched howl, and turned his head toward the tunnel. The sound of a group of warriors was answering his call. I shivered. The wolf turned his gaze to me, winked, and ran into the group of rogues. He cut through their bodies with his razor-sharp teeth, slashing them in half with every bite. I watched in amazement as his body moved. His movements were calculated, fast, flawless, and strong, like a properly trained alpha, like the triplets. The wolf stormed the next set of rogues head-on, killing another 5 or 6 in less than a minute. The way the wolf moved reminded me of how Gray's wolf, Duke, moved. Every step he took was strong, exact, and calculated, yet I couldn't help but recognize Sam's wolf as well. Luca was a killing machine on 4 paws, slicing through bodies with a snap of his jaw. Who is this wolf? I lifted my nose to the air, hoping to find a clue, but I was surprised to learn that the beast had no scent at all. Is that how he managed to surprise the rogues? Is that how he sneaked into the tunnels? Or was his scent just buried under all those muscles and power? One by one, the rogues died until only Carlo's wolf was left standing. He had shifted under attack. Kylo tried to flee, but 5 of the warriors blocked him off and chased him back. The huge wolf turned his gaze toward me, and my heart suddenly fluttered inside my chest. He huffed, nodded at his warriors, and went closer. Carlo's execution didn't take much effort. The new wolf ripped his heart out, and I flinched when his heart dropped to the floor. Carlo wouldn't bother us again. I hesitated when the huge beast got too close. Was he here to hurt me? Hi, big guy, I said. Thank you for saving me. The wolf yapped playfully, sounding like Ray. Who are you? I asked confusedly, and the wolf pushed his massive head against my hand. Small electrical sparks erupted under my hands, and, surprised, I pulled back my hand. I was shocked. Was it possible that Colt and his brothers had merged into this beautiful beast? Was that story Gray told me true? The wolf yapped, laid down, and gestured with his head for me to get on. Are you sure? I asked. He nodded. I reached out my hand and touched the beast's fur, and the familiar texture under my fingertips made me realize that I was right. I moved my hands over every color, realizing the white fur was not white, but light gray. Boys, I whispered, and the wolf turned his gaze toward me. You all have a lot of explaining to do. Catherine POV. It had been 6 months since Carlo tried to claim me as his mate, and things had slowly but surely gone back to normal. The pups eventually made their way to the big, cruel world a month after my kidnapping, and they even surprised us with an extra family member. I gave birth to triplets. One little bean, a baby girl, lay hidden behind her two big brothers. My gaze moved over the picture-perfect bundles of joy lying in their cribs. A soft knock sounded at the door, and my mother's head peeked around the door. "Morning," she said, pushing the door open. "Can I come in?" I nodded, surprised to see her. "Are you nervous?" she asked with excitement, clearly in her soft eyes. "Nervous? Nervous about what?" "No, Mother," I said, confused. "I am perfectly fine." My mother gave me a soft nod of the head and turned toward the cribs. "They grow up so fast," she mused, picking up the eldest of the three. Little Mike cooed when he saw his grandmother and reached out to touch her face. "He will be a great leader one day," my mother said, smiling. "I think all three would do just wonderful," I said, coming closer. Another knock sounded, followed by Sarah peeking her head in. "I should have known that Luna would get stuck up here looking at the pups," Sarah said teasingly. "Are you here too?" I asked, just as surprised to see her as I was seeing my mom. Sarah ignored my question and turned to my mother, who, in return, rolled her eyes and laughed. "I can't help it, that's what grandmas do." Sarah chuckled and turned serious. "Colt sent me to come fetch the pups," she said, giving my mother a quick but stern look. I narrowed my eyes at the two. "You wouldn't mind, would you?" my mother asked innocently. "No," I said, shaking my head. "Then it's settled," my mother chirped, and she handed Mike over to Sarah. I carefully picked up Dan, trying my best not to wake him up. He was my difficult pup, and the smallest interruption in his routine would set him off. Dan opened his small blue eyes, gave me a dirty look for disturbing his sleep, and started crying. My mother quickly took him from me and left the room. I carefully lifted Lisa from her crib. She was the smallest of the three pups. The little pup opened her eyes, knitted her small eyebrows together, looking kind of confused, and lazily stretched her body. "She is still a spitting image of Sam," Sarah said, cooing. "If you say so," I said, laughing. "Come on," Sarah said. "Hand her over." I sighed and did what she asked. "We'll see you later," Sarah said, and she left my room. I sighed and sat back on the bed. The room suddenly felt too quiet. "You better get ready," Kia mused. "Ready for what?" I asked. My bedroom door clicked open, and Sam stuck his head in, searching for me. A smile followed his lips when he saw me sitting on the bed, and got closer. "Aren't you supposed to get ready?" he asked, pulling me against his sculptured chest. "I'm not sure what I am getting ready for," I muttered, taking a deep breath of his summer breeze scent. Sam's hands snaked around my body, and he lowered his head, kissing my jaw. I moaned under my breath, letting go of all my worries. "You look essentially beautiful today," he said, his eyes flicking between black and blue. "Luca must be fighting for control." "Thank you," I whispered, giving myself over to Sam. Sam took me in his arms and slowly set me down on the bed. "Let me take care of your worries," he said. I knew what he meant by that, yet I couldn't resist him. Sam pushed me back, lifted my legs onto the bed, and moved my underwear aside. I could already imagine feeling him inside me. His warm breath moved over my slit, and a small moan escaped my lips. I was already getting soaked up in excitement. Sam slowly dug in, searching for my butt and making small movements around my sensitive part. "Oh, Samuel." I moaned his full name. That just urged Sam to go deeper and made me moan louder. Sam knew how to please me with just his tongue. A knock on my bedroom door startled us, and I swallowed my moans. Sam stopped, with his mouth over my pussy. "It's my brothers," Sam said, and he continued torturing my sweet parts. A moan escaped my lips the moment Gray entered with a broad smirk on his lips. "Pay up!" Gray said, holding his hand out to Colt as he entered. Colt, in response, dug into his pocket, took a $100 bill into view, and handed it to Gray. I narrowed my eyes at them. "Relax, princess," Gray said. He must have realized how the exchange looked. "It's not what you think." Gray gestured to Colt, and Sam lifted his gaze, knitted his eyebrows, and chuckled. The vibration of his chuckle sent sensual pleasures to my core. "I told Mr. Big Bad Alpha here to not send Sam to you," Gray defended. "He would take advantage of the situation and make you late." "Oh," I said, and Sam started his lovely assault on my pussy again, not caring that his brothers were lustfully watching him. Colt stepped forward, and his eyes started flickering between black and blue. "Oh, no you don't." Gray grabbed Colt's arm and hissed. "Rather leave now and go get ready." Colt growled, pushed Gray's hand off his shoulder, Then Huffman took a dominant stance. Gray rolled his eyes, sighed while shaking his head, and extended his aura. He refused to back off. "Leave now, Ray," Gray ordered. Colt turned his gaze toward me, his eyes pleading with me to call him. "It's okay," I said. "Go get ready and come fetch me." Colt, without saying another word, turned on his heels and stalked out the door. "Your turn, Sam," Gray ordered. "Get out now. I need to get our mate ready." Sam snarled, and the sound vibrated between my folds, pushing me over the edge. Sam got to his feet, looking satisfied with his achievement. "Now, Sam!" Gray roared, crossing his arms around his torso. "Or should I call the warriors to remove you?" Sam rolled his eyes with a cocky smile. "Round 2 would be much better," Sam said, winking before he rushed out the door. "Time to get you cleaned up," Gray said with a sigh. He lifted me off the bed and carried me toward the bathroom, set me down on the sink, and opened the taps. Gray knew I could walk on my own, but the boys complained that I was moving too slowly against their will. Gray gently lifted me into the tub and cleaned me up. He had a serious facial expression, as if he were in a hurry to complete the job at hand. Colt entered the room the moment Gray carried me out of the bathroom. "Good. You are here," Gray said, setting me down on the bed. "Is everything ready? Why aren't you dressed yet?" "Yes," Colt said coldly. "Everyone is now waiting for you to finish up, and I will get ready later. I still have plenty of time, not like you." "I am not the one who made us late, Colt," Gray snapped. "You are to blame for sending Sam." Before any of the two could lose control of their emotions, I called them to order. "I don't know what is going on," I said, "but whatever it is, can this fighting wait for later?" Gray took a deep breath, looking at Colt. "Sure," Colt said. Gray nodded and headed toward the door. "I'm going to get ready," he said before he exited the room. Colt shook his head and pulled a blindfold from his pocket. "What is that for?" I asked. "A little surprise that would change your life forever." Colt's POV. "Everyone ready?" I linked. "Luna is ready to go." "Yes, Alpha," the hairstylist linked. "I can't wait to have my makeup brushes do their magic on Luna," Mario linked. "The dresses are ready," Alpha, the tailor said. "Beta Gray and Delta Sam have the dress with them." "The flowers are ready," the florist replied. "And they are beautiful," David added. "Kate would love them." "The kitchen is ready to go," Marielle linked. "And it smells heavenly down here," my father said. "The ballroom is ready to go," the caterer said. "And the decor is gorgeous," my mother chirped excitedly. "Good," I replied. "We are leaving to get Luna dressed. David, let the pack members know that they could start taking a seat and make sure they keep the noise level down." "Sure, big bro," David replied. I turned my attention to Kate. She looked so beautiful, like the day I met her. In the last couple of weeks, she bloomed, and my love for her only grew bigger and bigger. I remember a promise I made her, and I wanted to keep it. I wrapped Kate's hands in mine, lifted them, and kissed the top of her hands. Kate giggled. "What are you up to?" she asked, sounding a bit nervous. "Nothing much," I said. "This doesn't look like anything much," she said. "Why all the secrecy? And why are Sarah and my mother here? Did Jimmy and Ellie come too? What about my father?" "Shh," I said with a chuckle, pressing my finger on her lips. "All will be revealed soon. Do you trust me?" Kate nodded, and I lifted her chin carefully. "I want to hear you say it," I said, my voice low and husky. "I do. I promise. I trust you," Kate said. I could hear her heart fluttering in her chest. She was nervous yet excited. "Now let's go," I said. I led Kate toward the door, but she stopped. "What's wrong?" I asked. "Colt," she said, and a worried smile followed on her lips. "I only have a towel wrapped around me." "It's okay," I said, kissing her head and pulling her to my chest. "We are not leaving the quarters yet." Kate's heart rate slowed, and I pulled her away from me. "Ready?" "Yes," she nodded. I lifted her in my arms and carried her bridal style to Gray's room. The hairstylist and makeup artist were already waiting. I set Kate down and removed the blindfold. "Mario?" Kate gasped and gave me a suspicious look. "Yes, my gorgeous Luna," Mario greeted. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "Oh," Mario said, "I am making Luna pretty for Alpha's big date." Kate looked at him for a moment, trying to look for any indications that Mario was lying. When she was satisfied, she took a seat, and the stylist and Mario started their work. Kate and Mario were quite acquainted. He had done her hair for the last few months, and she now refused to have anyone else do her hair. I gave them some privacy and checked up on my brothers. "How is she doing?" Sam asked, jumping out of the seat in my office. "She's fine," I said, "just nervous." "Do you think it would work?" Gray asked. "She's not going to freak out and run away." I chuckled, shaking my head. My brothers were the nervous ones among us. "I think she wouldn't run off," I said, and my mind wandered off to the alpha ceremony. I remember Kate wasn't ready to be crowned Luna yet. She was scared and even afraid. When the whole process of handing over the title was done, I turned to my pack with my brothers aside. They had accepted their new roles and titles and were officially the new Beta and Delta. "Dear pack members," I said, "I thank you for accepting me as your new alpha and my brothers as my second and third to rule over you." The pack went wild. "On a more serious note," I said, "I would like to formally introduce you all to our mate and your Luna, Kate." Kate stepped forward, coming toward me. She misstepped and Gray rushed forward, but Kate stopped him and smiled. So I knew Kate could stand on her own, but I never had the chance to see her take her first few steps without support. Kate took another calculated step toward me. She concentrated on every movement she made. When she eventually made it to my side, I couldn't help but burst out in applause. I had never felt this proud before. Kate had been practicing doing her walking daily, and there was evidence that she was getting better and better at it. I made sure to at least have a daily walk with Kate around the gardens. That had become our private time where we spent time together. It was one of those little private moments when I asked her to officially marry me. "Catherine Jones," I called her as she looked over the lake. She said this as I held her in my arms. "Would you make me the happiest wolf on this planet and be my legal wife?" Kate had turned her head toward me, looking at me suspiciously. "Werewolves don't marry their mates. Our marks were enough to tell the world that we were taken." "Are you seriously considering that?" she asked after a moment of silence. "I am," I said, letting her go, dropping on one knee and presenting her with a diamond ring. Kate gasped, surprised, and tears welled up in her eyes. "But," she said, but I made her quiet, pulling her to my chest. "Catherine," I said, my tears burning behind my eyelids, "I thought long and hard about this, so I share everything with my brothers, even you." I swallowed hard at the lump in my throat. I wanted to tell her without sounding selfish. Kate raised her gaze, seeking mine. "Tell me," I whispered. "Tell me your deepest desires." I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. "Marrying you would mean the world to me. It is the only way I can show you how much I love you." "Colt," Kate stopped me. "You have shown me already how much you love me." I shook my head, knowing if I didn't tell her everything, I would never do so. "It's also the only way I can have you different from my brothers." Kate's arms snaked around my neck, and she pulled my head down, kissing my lips. "I would love to be your wife," she whispered against my lips. I told my brothers that I wanted to get married the human way. They were skeptical about my decision. That was until the two saw Kate looking at a white Italian wedding dress a couple of weeks ago. They took her shopping, and when they passed a wedding boutique, Kate stopped and admired the dress. "The smile she had on her face was so powerful it broke my heart," Sam said. "That dress is made for her. We need to get it for her." "I can't imagine Kate wearing any other dress," Gray added. My brothers were on board with my plans. The only catch was that they refused to show me the dress they had ordered for Kate. They insisted on being the ones to help her into her dress. They wanted to keep that small thing as a surprise for me. "Luna is done," Mario linked. "Thank you," I replied, and I turned my attention to my brothers. "They are done with Kate," I said. Sam jumped to his feet and clapped his hands. "Let's get this show on the road." Catherine POV. Mario refused to show me how my makeup and hair looked. He used the excuse that he had forgotten his mirror. "I am sorry, Luna," Mario said, and he and the stylist headed toward the door. I knew I could trust Mario, but hell, I was curious to see how he had done my makeup. There must be a mirror hidden somewhere. I headed to Gray's bathroom and sighed. All the mirrors were removed. They did this on purpose. What was the big surprise? A soft knock on the bedroom door made me rush out of the bathroom, finding Gray and Sam standing and waiting in the doorway. My jaw dropped. Both looked so handsome in their black tuxedos. Are we attending some kind of fancy dress party? I asked, hoping that one of them would give in and tell me. Did I miss the invite? Something like that, Gray said, coming closer with a huge white box. Is that my dress? I asked, curiously watching my mates. Something like that, Sam answered, and I narrowed my eyes at them. This secrecy was now working on my last nerve. Gray's gaze met Sam's, and he nodded. I am sorry, baby, Sam said, taking out a blindfold. But you would smudge Mario's masterpiece, I argued, taking a step back. Gray chuckled, bumping Sam's shoulder. Mario made sure to make you wear only makeup that wouldn't smudge easily, Sam said, smiling. This was planned, and we won't tie the blindfold too tightly, I promise, Gray said. I looked at my mates in disbelief and eventually gave in with a pout. You look so beautiful when you are so annoyed, Gray said. And I just want to kiss that pout right off your lips, Sam added with a chuckle, coming closer. Sam carefully tied the blindfold over my eyes. Now, princess, he said, we are going to help you into your new dress. Just have some patience with us, helping you, Gray added. The sound of paper suddenly sounded, and I assumed that they had opened the box Gray carried in. Grab onto my shoulders, Sam said, and I lifted my hands, feeling silly. Warm hands caught my wrist and placed them on Sam's shoulders. Lift your left leg, Gray said, and I complied. Now you are right. Thanks. Okay, that's good, Sam said. I'm going to slowly move back up and zip you up. I nodded, feeling Sam moving under my hands. Strong hands lifted my arms into the air. Keep them there for just a moment, please, Gray said. I could feel Gray closing the zipper on my back, then gently pulling my arms down. Perfect, Sam said. Now the shoes. Gray's hands wrapped around my torso, holding me in place. Push your left foot out, he said. Sam took hold of my ankle and fitted a rather light shoe to my foot, then did the same with my right foot. It felt a bit weird to wear such high heels. All done, Sam said, pleased, and Gray let go of me. The boys moved away from me, and the room suddenly fell silent. Only the fluttering of my heart sounded in my ears. Boys? I called, getting worried. I didn't hear them leave. Were they stunned looking at me? Was there something wrong with the dress? Sorry, Gray said, taking my hand. We are just admiring how lovely. Beautiful you look, Sam's voice broke. Sam, are you crying? I asked. No, he said. My hands moved to the blindfold, but Gray gently caught them. Just wait, he said tenderly. Don't ruin the surprise. A small breath left my lips, and I nodded. Gray and Sam each took a hand and started to the door. We are not taking the wheelchair, I asked teasingly. Not today, Gray said with a chuckle. It would ruin your wed. Perfect dress, Sam chirped, cutting Gray off. I kept silent the rest of the way, feeling nervous and excited. I guess the boys' emotions were spilling over the shared link. Gray and Sam had their chance to mark me on the night of the Alpha ceremony. They didn't want a traditional marking, so we ended up in an open clearing, running in wolf form. Ray marked Kia first, then Duke and Sam. Kia returned the favor in the same order. When we eventually shifted back to humans, Sam and Gray marked me. I didn't need to individually mark any of my mates. Kia's mark was strong enough to appear on their napes in human form. What were the boys planning? Why all the secrecy? My mind wandered off to my perfect and unbelievable baby shower. Everyone came and joined to celebrate the future Alpha's birth. Luna Mary had gotten my mother and family involved, and the surprise was a bittersweet memory. I went into labor halfway through the surprise baby shower. We are here, Gray announced, and Sam let go of my hand, opening the door. Gray steered me a couple of feet forward, and Sam closed and opened another door. Colt's scent filled the room. Are you ready? Gray asked. Yes, both Colt and I said together. My breath started to escalate as my heart fluttered inside my chest, excitement bubbling over. Remove your blindfold, Sam ordered, and he and Gray stepped away from me. I struggled to untie the knot, my hands shaking. Let me help you, Colt said, his voice tender and warm. I slowly dropped my arms, letting Colt take over the impossible task. Colt was done in a second, and he dropped the blindfold in my hands. You look beautiful, he said, his voice husky and painfully tender. I slowly opened my eyes. Colt was the first I saw, and my heart leaped out of my chest and skipped a beat as my eyes roamed over him. He was dressed in a white tuxedo and white dress shirt, but that wasn't what made my heart flutter. It was the look of pure love and the tender smile that was painted on his face. I turned crimson as he cupped my face. "The color suits you," he said, brushing over my flustered cheeks. "Never lose your pure heart and innocence." Colt bent down and pecked my lips, his sandalwood scent driving my insides to mush. He tenderly smiled as he pulled away. "Come," he said, taking my hand. "Everyone is waiting." What was revealed next made my heart spill over in love and happiness. "Catherine POV, I gasped, seeing my reflection in the mirror. "Is that me?" The words slipped from my lips. "Yes," Colt said, "and you are the most beautiful she-wolf in the world." My face burned out if I was embarrassed. "Flattering will get you far, Alpha Black," I said teasingly when I found my voice. "I am not flattering you," he said. "It's the truth." The wedding dress Sam and Gray helped me into was spectacular, and it fitted me like a glove. The top part of the dress was made out of high-quality lace, coming down over a satin-wide skirt. The white color complemented my skin tone perfectly, while the V-line complemented my slender neck and breast. The wedding dress was simple, yet elegant. I wouldn't have been able to pick a better one. "It's beautiful," I said, moving my fingers over the beautiful lace. "Thank you." "Don't thank me," Colt said. "Sam and Gray saw you looking at the dress a couple of weeks ago." I was stunned. My gaze moved to them, and a smile formed on their lips. "We couldn't help it," Sam said. "We knew it was made for you," Gray said. "And I didn't know what the dress looked like until now," Colt said. "You didn't?" I asked. "So this is a surprise for you too?" Colt nodded. "My brothers kept this a surprise from me too, and hell, I wouldn't have it any other way." "Thank you," I said again. "This is a huge surprise." "The surprise is not over yet," Sam said, rubbing his hands together. "This is only the beginning," Gray added. "There is more," I gasped. "A lot more," Colt said, holding his arm out for me to take. My heart started to race, yet Colt rubbed my arm gently. "This part you would love," he said. "Take a breath." I did as he said, and Gray and Sam headed to the door. "Ready?" Sam asked. I slowly nodded, exhaling. Sam and Gray opened the door, and my heart leaped out of my chest when I saw all the people waiting for us. My gaze snapped bewilderedly toward Colt, asking the silent question. He gestured to the human priest standing at the altar. "Are we getting married?" I stuttered over the link, shocked. I couldn't process what I was seeing. "Yes," he replied with a chuckle. "Today you will not only be seen as my mate and Luna, but also as my legal wife." His words hit home, and the tears spilled over. "Don't cry," he said, as we came to a stop at the altar, and tenderly wiped the tears from my eyes. "They are happy tears," I said. "Dearly beloved," the priest started, "we are here today." My thoughts wander off, remembering every special moment we shared over the last couple of months. How was I so lucky? Should anyone present know of any reason why this couple should not be joined in holy matrimony? "Speak now or forever and hold your peace," the priest said. My heart pounded, and I turned to look over my shoulder. Brian was sitting 2 rows down. He smiled, waved, and winked. Leah sat on his right-hand side, holding his hand. I saved his life the night of the execution. We arrived just in time, and I stopped the proceedings. We deliberated and concluded that if his mate was willing to come forward, we would set him free. "Is there anyone here who is mated to Beta Brian Scott?" Colt asked. "I am," Leah said, coming forward. "Do you, Leah, want to be mated to this man?" Alpha Michael asked. "I do," she said, turning her gaze toward me. There was no doubt in her eyes that she accepted Brian as her mate. "I am sorry. I wanted to tell you, but I couldn't. I understood. I would have been scared as well." Brian whimpered, and Leah went to him. "Are you responsible for the anonymous letters?" my father asked, looking kind of relieved that he didn't have to execute his best friend's son. "Yes, Alpha Duncan," Leah said. "I knew Brian would help you find Kate if I asked him to. You understand that Brian has been banished from his pack and carries the rogue title?" Alpha Michael asked. "He has no home." My gaze turned to Colt, pleading. I had grown fond of Leah, and she wouldn't be able to live outside the protection of the pack. She could die. "I understand," Leah said bravely. "I will pack my things to join my mate. They will be joining my pack." Ethan's voice filled the air and sent unnerving chills down my spine. Gasps sounded all around us as he came closer to the front. Sarah was at his side, holding his hand. "Sarah?" My jaw dropped. She smiled gently and left Ethan's side to come to me. "I am sorry," she said. "I found Ethan the night of the bonfire when I was searching for Brian. Leah helped Ethan escape the territory while I attended to Brian." "Why were you out searching for Brian?" I asked, shocked. "I knew Leah and Brian were mates. I saw them together," Sarah said. "I was angry at first and ordered Leah to stay away from him, but she insisted that they wanted to be together. The Rogue King was standing in their way of happiness and had given Brian and Ethan orders to find you and bring you to him." "That's why you fought Brian, and he surrendered," I said. Sarah nodded. "I linked him and told him that Leah was waiting for him," she said. "I also explained my situation concerning Ethan." My gaze moved to Brian's left, where Ethan sat with a cocky smile plastered on his face. Brian was now Ethan's beta and closest friend. Ethan nodded his head and pulled Sarah's hand to his lips. They looked so good together. Ethan was responsible for Amy's death. He found her on the outskirts of the territory, trying to sneak back in. He felt pity for her until he scented me on her. He knew she must have done something terrible. He asked her about why she was banished, but when she called out my name, he did what Sam wanted to do and ripped her apart. My gaze moved back to Leah. She looked good. Brian was taking good care of her, and she was pregnant with their pup. I asked Leah, before she left for Ethan's pack, what the images I saw meant. A sad smile formed on her thin lips before she spoke. "My mother was kept captive by Carlo," she said, swallowing hard. "He believed that she was a white wolf, and because she was pregnant with me, she couldn't shift to show him he was wrong." Leah signed before she lifted her gaze. "I was born in the dungeons," Leah said. "My mother died saving me." Colt came closer, and his hand snaked around my waist. "Leah's biological parents died. Her uncle and aunt raised her," Colt said, kissing my head. "They went to my father and begged for protection. They were scared that Carlo would come looking for her." A cold chill ran down my spine. "I am very sorry, Leah," I said. "Kate, it isn't your fault that Carlo was a hungry psychopath," she said, pulling me to her. Brian got closer, taking Leah's hand. He nodded, and they silently left toward the car. "Do you, Catherine Jones, take Colt Black as your legal husband?" the priest asked. "I do." "Do you, Colt Black, take Catherine Jones as your legal wife?" the priest asked. A tender smile played on Colt's lips. "I do," he said. "With the power invested in me," the priest said, "I now pronounce you husband and wife. You can kiss your bride." Colt's arms snaked around my waist, and he pulled me to his chest and lowered his head. I fell lost in his kiss, and everything and everyone around me vanished into thin air. Kia howled inside my head, and Ray answered her howl. For that small moment, we only belonged to each other. "Lycus wants to take a run," Colt said later that night. "He wants to celebrate, too." We were busy having dinner when the request came through. Lycus was the huge wolf the brothers shared, and Colt was the only one who could summon and control him. Sam and Gray came closer, excited. They loved shifting into the huge beast. We excused ourselves and walked down toward the clearing. The boys stripped themselves of their clothes, and Gray and Sam went and shifted. Colt came closer and helped me out of my dress. The moon's rays were softly shining down on us. "Mother Moon is blessing us," Kia mused. "She is happy that we are finally happy and being with our true mates." When Mother Moon tried to break the curse, Lycus's soul managed to split itself into 3 in hopes that one day he would find his mate. He never thought that all 3 parts would one day be born in the same womb, completing his soul. "You look so beautiful," Colt said, moving a stray hair behind my ear. We both shifted and started toward the river, the 3 nipping on Kia's tail. The rumbling of water came closer, and the next second Lycus cut me off. The boys had merged while they were running, a new technique they had learned recently. "That's cheating," I yelled over the link, and the sound of laughter sounded from the boys over the link. Kia huffed, changed direction, and continued toward the river. Lycus caught up with us 5 seconds after Kia reached the river. The huge wolf's purr echoed through the silent night as he brushed against Kia before he split himself into my mates. Colt smiled, got closer, and pulled me to his chest. "Lycus says thank you," he said, kissing the top of my head. "He asked that I prepare something for you." I lifted my gaze, looking into Colt's once cold blue eyes. "Remember our first dance?" he asked, and I slowly nodded my head. He playfully snapped his fingers, and a part of the forest lit up with small lanterns. I gasped in surprise and giggled. Colt lowered his head and pecked my lips. "Mrs. Black, would you like to dance?"